Very close.
The Norman Brooks Challenge Cup, which both men are playing for, has just been brought out and placed on a plinth in the centre of the Rod Laver Arena. And someone has done a very good job at polishing it because it is shining. The roof is still closed. That will be opened momentarily. We've seen pictures of the players pacing around in the warm-up area in the gym, having final words with their team. And while I think at the start of this tournament, most people, maybe nearly everyone, would have said that Novak Djokovic, heavy favourite as 9-time champion to come through. Yesterday, Pat Cash put his cards on the table. He was going for Stefanos, Tsitsipas and Annabelle Croft. This morning, I heard you here on 5 Live wavering towards the Greek player.
Yes, Gigi, I've been wavering quite a bit, actually, the more that I've really thought about this match. And of course, Djokovic has to be the favourite with the record that he has and the fact that he's beaten Tsitsipas 9 times, in the last 9 meetings. But and all that experience he has at this stage of a Grand Slam. But just that, there's been a lot going on the court with him. He's been very, very emotional, even though he's been in winning positions. He's been incredibly stressed. And I thought it was very telling that he spoke very openly about feeling very tight, very nervous in that last match. His tennis was all over the place. He's also got this added sort of factor of this left leg, which doesn't seem to have hampered him in the last few matches, but maybe under extreme stress in this final, it might rear its ugly head. And I think he's going to be up against someone who is probably in the best form he could be in coming into this final. So I'm slightly wavering now.
Get in touch with us. Who do you think is going to come through this, and how are they going to come through at 5 Live Sport? So yesterday, Pat, you said Stefanos Tsitsipas for you. You also teased us by saying that you had spoken to Novak Djokovic's coach Goran Ivanisevic, and you said you would reveal all today.
Well, I may think I may not reveal right now. No, there's a few question marks for me about Novak. His movement is probably the most important one for me. We know when he hits the ball beautifully. His mental focus, he can refocus that, but you cannot instantly flick a switch and start moving like absolutely lightning fast, which he is going to need to do today. Look, he's moving very well. Most people wouldn't sort of pick up much wrong with him, but having watched Novak, we've all watched Novak play so much that I can see that he is just a little bit slower really when he's really wide, and isn't that what he's famous for? That sort of rubber band legs stretched out, last string of the racket contortion is getting the ball back for a passing shot or a lob or a winner or whatever. That hasn't happened at this tournament, and he's going to have to do that tonight. Without a doubt, he's going to have to scrape down some balls and then flick those lobs or get back in defensive positions or whatever it happens to take. We haven't seen that. Will his body allow him today? I think so. I talked to his chiropractor, chiropractor actually, today. On just about half an hour ago. I was actually in the training room getting some treatment myself, ice pack on my knee, and Novak and he just walked straight past, and Novak gave me a bit of a fist bump, which is allegedly cool with the kids these days, with the cool kids, and the physio said, "Oh, is your knee okay?" Yeah, blah 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 blah. I said, "How's he feeling?" He goes, "His hamstring's better than it's ever been. We're primed. He's ready. We've timed it perfectly." So that was interesting. So that's it. Also, having a chat with Goran Ivanisevic about his ball toss, and I said, Goran, I don't know if you could see it but where we were last night or tonight, which was the semi-final. I said Novak's ball toss was just going further and further to the right side, and he said, "Yes." I said, "I know. I keep telling him this." And you can see the sense of frustration. He's like, "Yeah, I keep telling him this. When he starts to miss, he's got to pull the ball toss back, but he doesn't do it." And I said, "Well, he's going to have to." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're onto it. So let's see, if he can, those two things, if he can serve consistently and if he can move really well, then I'll pick Novak. But I don't know that. I don't know that's going to happen. So therefore, I'm edging towards Tsitsipas."
Out 5 Live.
Long-winded answer.
They're always fairly long, Pat, but that's why we love you, because you give nice detail.
And that one was packed with quality.
Was it?
Which we don't always say.
That's fair enough. That's
okay,
very
now
fair
Pat,
enough.
that was Russell's comment. That's not the thoughts of the rest of the Five Live tennis team. Come on, everybody.
I think of myself. That was not a very good answer.
Well, that was a lovely answer. At Five Live Sport, if you'd like to get in touch with us, who do you think is going to come out on top? We're awaiting the walk down the corridor of champions. So before they do, I think we can squeeze this in. Let's have a little listen to Novak Djokovic speaking about how he deals with scrutiny, particularly in the build-up to a final.
I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but you really have to accept it, you know. It's much easier said than done. In my case, I feel like things are just kind of piling on, adding on, you know, somehow, for one reason or another. And yeah, I mean, it's not an ideal situation or circumstances to be in when you have to kind of deal with all these other outside factors that are not really necessary during such an important event. But it's been part of my life, and unfortunately the last few years more so. And I just try to evolve from it. I try to become more resilient, more stronger, and you know, I think with the experience that I have with my routines, I feel like I'm strong enough to know what I need to do.
Novak Djokovic talking about the scrutiny that he faces. There's been a little bit more than normal. We'll get into that in the course of the match. Just seeing Stefanos Tsitsipas make his way through the locker room. He's on his own. He said his goodbyes to his team, the third seed in the world, number 4, both playing for the world number 1 ranking. Whoever doesn't get the number 1 will be number 3 on Monday, and Carlos Alcaraz will be at number 2, the current hold of the world number 1 ranking. There's a final few goodbyes for Stefanos Tsitsipas. They both got fairly large teams, and it's Tsitsipas who does not make eye contact, as you wouldn't expect him to, with Novak Djokovic, and starts the walk down this corridor of champions, this sauna-like corridor that snakes its way along the side of the Rod Laver Arena. You can hear their feet cushioned on the floor, and if you're Stefanos Tsitsipas, he's the lower rank of the two, so he comes out first. You want to keep your eyes front. You don't want to look to the right, because towards the end of the tunnel he'll see Novak Djokovic, and he'll see 9 titles for Novak Djokovic. Incredible. In his 33rd Grand Slam final, he has won 21 of them. He's going for number 10 here. Stefanos Tsitsipas, a second Grand Slam final, first at the French Open in 2021. And just wait for the reception for both players. The Greek community, the Serbian community, packed into the Rod Laver Arena. The heartbeat begins. We are moments away from the start of the Australian Open men's final.
It's the men's singles final on Rod Laver Arena. Please welcome Australian Open third seed, Stefanos Tsitsipas.
He's looking to be the first Greek player to win a Grand Slam title. He is unbeaten for 2023. He's lost his last 9 meetings to Novak Djokovic, but he's just dropped the 3 sets on his way to this final. He makes his way to the far bench, the far side of the umpire's chair.
And their opponent, Novak Djokovic.
The numbers are crazy. He's on a 27-match Australian Open win streak, 40-match win streak in Australia. He's at 11-0 for the season. He's only lost 1 match since returning to the tour last September. It's a 33rd Grand Slam final. He's going for a 22nd Grand Slam title to equal the men's record with Rafa Nadal, and he's looking for a 10th title here. The numbers are terrifying, but Stefanos Tsitsipas knows all too well who he's up against. And Russ, we had the roof closed for the entertainment. The roof is open, but in terms of conditions, how are things out in Melbourne today?
We had a brief shower about 45 minutes before the players walked out, Gigi. The roof was closed at that time for the opening ceremony, which is fortunate for the organisers. And there was a little bit of doubt for a while as to whether the roof would definitely open for the final, but open it has. It's been a humid day, a little bit of breeze, cloudy throughout. The humidity levels seem to be dropping a little bit, and it's not going to be oppressively hot or humid for these players, but just something to bear in mind. Not the most relaxing, comfortable conditions either. And the other thing I would say is that there's no strapping in the way there has been in previous rounds on that left leg of Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, he just has the kinesio tape, flesh-coloured kinesio tape. So if they don't want to get any more nervous about what's at stake, Stefanos Tsitsipas and Novak Djokovic, together with the mascot, are either side of the Norman Brooks Challenge Cup. And Annabelle, it is a case, especially at the start, of who handles their nerves. And that might sound crazy because we're dealing with Novak Djokovic, who is in a 33rd Grand Slam final, but he's chasing history, and history's not always easy to catch.
No, definitely not. As you and I have talked about many times during the course of these 2 weeks, when Serena Williams was trying to equal Margaret Court, she kept putting herself in that position, and each time she got a little bit too nervous, and it just seemed like that final hurdle, she just couldn't quite get herself across the line. And I just think that previous match against Tommy Paul, it was weird with Novak Djokovic, the way he really fell apart with his game, having been up 5-1 and set points. He got distracted by the umpire giving him a sort of a time violation for the towel. He got a bit annoyed about that, and then he got really tight, and he was very off balance, which is the opposite of what we're normally saying about him on the court. But I do feel like the start is absolutely key, isn't it, for both of them? If Novak can get off to a really fast start, I think we're going to see an unbelievable match. But I do worry that this for him, that the pressure is monumental on his shoulders.
Now, before we hear from Stefanos Tsitsipas, having heard briefly from Novak Djokovic, we're going to get some news from the cricket. It's the second one-day international between South Africa and England, and therefore us, Kevin Howes.
Yep. Good morning to you. England need to win this, level it 1-1 if they can. They've lost 2 early wickets, though, batting first, having lost the toss. 33 for 2 in the middle of the 7th over. Jason Roy got himself a century first game today, only making it 9 before he was bowled by Lungidi, a ball that nipped back, a tricky-looking ball. In fact, it looks very tricky to bat out there. David Malan, LBW to Wayne Parnell for 12 just a few moments ago. That one stayed low. England 33 for 2 in the 7th over.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Kevin will keep us across the cricket. Ian Carter's got the golf in hand, and Steve Crossman will be here from 12, live from a pub in Wrexham. So you've just heard 3 minutes of the warm-up before the action begins, and if Stefanos Tsitsipas wins today, he'll become the men's singles world #1, and performing well in a Grand Slam is a dream that he's always had.
I remember watching it on TV and saying to myself, I want to be there one day myself. I want to recreate that feeling for me. I knew that that's a very long journey to get there, and there are certain steps that you have to take to give yourself the chance to be competing for something like this. But I very much believed it. First of all, it's your ego that speaks, You either have it or not, And as a kid, I was very confident, and thank God I was good in my country. Starting from that, I knew that if I'm able to get out of my country and compete in other countries, European leagues and European tours, I proved myself over and over again that I'm actually good, and I did finish as a junior #1, and now I want to do it in the men's professional tennis.
8:42 in the morning. The match is on the BBC Sounds homepage, so if you're not having a lazy day, you're out and about, it could not be easier to take us with you. This is mouth-watering. Stefanos Tsitsipas, so people are starting to veer again against Novak Djokovic. Tsitsipas to become a first-time Grand Slam champion, Djokovic to win one for a 22nd time and a 10th time here, and the winner will also, Russell, be the world #1.
For the second Grand Slam in a row in the men's draw, after Carlos Alcaraz beat Casper Ruud to win the US Open title and become world #1 in New York in September. Will it be history for Greece in the shape of Stefanos Tsitsipas, or more history for Serbia and for Novak Djokovic? It's been an eventful journey to Australian Open final #10 for Novak, but can he make it 10 not out?
I play tennis because I still feel connection with the inner child. The 4-year-old boy that took a racket and said, I love this sport, I want to play it all day.
The rally continues, but Tsonga goes wide, and Novak Djokovic wins his first Grand Slam.
Mid-court forehand for him to finish it. It goes back to Murray, but he knocks! And Djokovic raises his arms in victory.
The smash from Djokovic to win the Australian Open for a 9th time.
Novak Djokovic has lost his judicial review and faces deportation from Australia.
This is my decision. Hopefully the things will be able to change.
Please welcome the #4 seed, Novak Djokovic.
I really love to play tennis because this is what I do. I'm a professional tennis player.
Djokovic and the forehand is netted from Rublev, but this is all about the 9-time champion Novak Djokovic.
I think the fact that I never lost the Australian Open finals definitely serves as a great confidence booster.
Fine return by Novak Djokovic and a backhand cross-court, one of the most emphatic of the entire match.
Long goes the return, and Novak Djokovic is into a 33rd Grand Slam singles final. That's more than anybody's been in before.
So, we're ready to go on 5 Live. Final match of the Australian Open 2023. Danny Minogue and Steve Waugh are in the house. The winner of the Australian Voice has sung the national anthem. And the coin toss has been performed by a 10-year-old called Novak. Could it possibly be an omen? Or could they not find one called Stefanos? There's a sizable Greek population in Melbourne, but huge Serb support as well. And here come the players for the final. Novak Djokovic showing the new balls to Stefanos Tsitsipas. He's at the commentary box end here on the Rod Laver Arena. 15,000 seats are filled. Who's going to be world number 1? Who's going to be Australian Open champion? Louise Azamar Engzel of Sweden is our chair umpire. Djokovic is getting us underway, and he's missing with his first serve. Arina Sabalenka served a double fault yesterday, first point of the final. Here's Djokovic's second serve onto the forehand of Tsitsipas, and he's just missed as he tries to stroke that down the line for a winner. Crowd in good voice already. How do the two players get here? Well, Tsitsipas has not yet faced a top 10 opponent in this Australian Open. Straight sets wins apart from the 2 matches against top 20 players. Yannick Sinner, he required 5 sets to beat, and Karen Khachanov 4. He's on the attack here, Djokovic, and he's moved very, very quickly to 30 love. As for Djokovic, he's only dropped the 1 set, and that was against the French qualifier Enzo Cuoco in the second round. He's only faced 1 top 20 player, and that was Andrei Rublev, but it perhaps doesn't matter too much because in the quarterfinal, Djokovic gave Rublev just 7 games. An ace from Djokovic as he moves to 40 love. We're going to be watching with Annabelle Croft and with Pat Cash, who was the runner-up here in 1987 and 1988. And it looks like a nice, gentle start, this, for the 9-time champion, the 21-time Grand Slam champion. Djokovic trying to close out the game, just misses as he goes down the middle with that first serve. Second serve for Djokovic. An absolutely jam-packed photographer's pit, and a complete shank by Djokovic there on the backhand. Don't often see that, Pat.
Oh, he's going down the line there. The nice, good kick serve, which will be continually throwing up to the Tsitsipas backhand. That's the weaker side. You can typically get a short ball off Tsitsipas if you can go there more than 2 or 3 times. Yeah, nice short one there, and yeah, just mistimed it completely.
Still with a bit of room to spare in this game at 40-15. A rueful look. A reminder, if you've not been with us throughout the fortnight, that we don't have any lines judges at the Australian Open anymore. Electronic line calling. Tsitsipas makes room for a forehand return. The forehand cross-court from Djokovic. Very easy. They're just warming up at the moment, aren't they, Annabelle? That was a game that was not played at the frenetic pace we can expect this match to unfold at.
No, I think that's a good point, and fairly sort of eased his way into this match start for Novak Djokovic, but it was a little bit weird, that shank off the backhand side, and then that second serve he just put in was extremely short. And one of the things we always talk about with Djokovic is how aggressive that second serve is, how deep and accurate to the corners it is. But you know, he's human, and even though he's sort of sailed through that game effectively, I think there's definitely nerves on both sides of the net, and I imagine he's going to try to take advantage for this first service game of Tsitsipas of the early part and the nerves that will be down the other end for Tsitsipas. He'll probably try and really go after him in this game.
Tsitsipas has just placed his towel very, very close to the Norman Brooks Challenge Cup, which is only about 15 metres away from our commentary box. Hopefully not vulnerable to a stray Novak Djokovic shanked forehand cross-court. First serve missed by Tsitsipas, second serve onto the backhand of Djokovic. Tsitsipas hits the forehand down the line. Forehand again from Tsitsipas. Djokovic lifts this forehand very carefully back towards the Greek, who's now got a forehand, which Djokovic gets back in play with a backhand. Forehand into the net from Tsitsipas.
When Novak gets a little bit tight, as he admitted to yesterday, you know, he sort of loses power on the forehand side. It lands a little bit shorter, and, you know, there were definitely signs of sort of edginess in that forehand side in that last rally.
But it was a point he was able to win, love 15, and Tsitsipas misses the first serve. Second serve to the backhand of Djokovic. Tsitsipas hits his single-handed backhand to the forehand of Novak Djokovic, hoping to regain the world #1 position he's held for so many weeks throughout his career. Backhand cross-court from Tsitsipas and a shank on the forehand now from the 24-year-old from Athens, and he finds himself love 30 down in his opening service game of the final.
Oh, good start. Good rally there from Djokovic. Tsitsipas, you know, he tries to get around and hit his forehand whenever he possibly can. And he's got a very good backhand, but tends to miss-hit them. They come in, sometimes come in bursts, so they miss-hit backhands. But so trying to get around and hit that forehand, and mistimed it a little bit, or more than a little bit. It went all over the place.
Love 30 down, Tsitsipas, and he serves an ace. First serve he's landed, sliding it away from the right-handed Djokovic.
Well, that was a terrific first serve, wasn't it? And I always find it fascinating because he plays his serve with the forehand grip, and he has to really kind of use that wrist and pronate the wrist to get that kind of angle.
15-30 down, Tsitsipas hits a forehand and now a backhand cross-court. Djokovic cross-court with a backhand, Tsitsipas to the backhand of Djokovic. A backhand cross-court rally developing here. And now down the line, Tsitsipas, and he's missed.
I don't think he needed to go for that backhand down the line. He was quite comfortable. But, the tactics are already very clear, aren't they? Djokovic has just been going to the backhand all the time. As I said, he hits 2 or 3, but if you can hit, you get 5 or 6 shots to the backhand, you're likely to get a short ball or an error.
2 break points already for Djokovic. The first is saved. Another excellent serve, this one down the tee from Tsitsipas in his second Grand Slam final.
Before that point,
unbeaten, remember, this year, Tsitsipas, 10 wins out of 10 after 4 singles victories for Greece at the United Cup, but he's a second break point down here to Novak Djokovic. Careful rally developing on the Rod Laver Arena. Forehand cross-court from Tsitsipas. Forehand cross-court and long from Djokovic.
Oh, that was an
Tsitsipas not showing
opportunity.
any emotion, Annabelle, but he must be a relieved man.
Oh, definitely, but that was a real opportunity for Djokovic, wasn't it? And he was quite measured at the start of that rally, just going up the middle of the court, not trying to do too much. As soon as he tried to release on the forehand, he just lost control.
Fault.
A white top, a black headband as Tsitsipas serves down the tee. Forehand from him, lifted to the back of the court. Now he takes a couple of giant strides, Tsitsipas, and returns on the forehand. Djokovic lands that one on the sideline. He's moved Tsitsipas to his backhand corner again, and Tsitsipas has won the point as Djokovic nets the backhand.
Novak coming inside the baseline or close to the baseline there, trying to get that high topspin backhand of Tsitsipas on the rise and hit it sharp angle cross court. Again, trying to get to the backhand, hit the top of the net. That jumped quite a bit, that backhand.
This is now advantage Tsitsipas, and he has closed out the game with an ace. And he needed his serve there from love 30 down to avoid dropping serve in his opening service game of what for him is a first Australian Open final. And we'll level at 1 game all as he walks towards us, so we can see in Technicolor glory those multicoloured swirly shorts that he's wearing underneath that white t-shirt.
They look like beach shorts, don't they? Swimmers.
Surfer dude shorts. 1 game all. Djokovic slightly more conservatively dressed at the far end. Good serve from him down the middle, and the drive volley from deep in the court by Djokovic. The lob from Tsitsipas. Djokovic sees that land a little bit too long. He's wearing blue shorts, and he's got a top which has blue and orangey red. They're almost diamond shapes.
Yeah, it's like a kaleidoscope, isn't it, Russell? You know, remember those?
She's good, isn't she, Pat? She's very good.
She nails it every time.
She does.
It is like a kaleidoscope, you're right.
1-all, 15 love. Good serve down the middle. Tsitsipas not quite catching that forehand cleanly. You came up with a better description for the Tsitsipas shorts, I think, didn't you, the other day, Annabelle?
Yeah, it's like a slab of marble, but sort of pink and purple marble.
As you might have in an expensive bathroom.
Yes.
Is that the parallel you were drawing?
Yes. What do you think?
Do you have marble in your bathroom, Annabelle?
No, I don't. Wouldn't mind.
1 game all, 30 love. Good serve from Djokovic and a big swing from Tsitsipas, but he can't time that forehand sweetly enough, and Djokovic moves to 40 love.
It's a marble bathroom with Jackson Pollard having been let loose in there for a few minutes.
Yes. Yes, I'm not sure it looks like any marble I've ever seen, but I will defer to Annabelle on this. Forehand return from Tsitsipas, forehand Djokovic, forehand Tsitsipas. Djokovic down the line, backhand winner. And a love hold. So Djokovic has dropped just the 1 point on serve in his opening 2 service games, Gigi, but Stefanos Tsitsipas has no reason to be unduly concerned because he held 2 from love 30, and so we're going with serve Djokovic 2-1.
I just think we have many strengths as a tennis team, but our weakness might be describing clothes. I think on a fashion thing, maybe I'm just speaking for myself here, but we get some very strange descriptions going on. At 5 Live Sport, if you have a different, better alternative description for us. We're also keeping you across the cricket. We're reminding you about the football that we have to come because it's FA Cup 4th round weekend, and also the golf. We've had rain delays, so it's only the 3rd round of the Dubai Desert Classic, and there for us, Ian Carter.
And a majestic start to that 3rd round for the world number 1, Rory McIlroy. 4 straight birdies in his opening 4 holes. He's just rolled in a par putt at the 5th, and it means from 8 under to 12 under he has moved, and into a share of the lead with the Spaniard Adri Arnaus, who has just holed a chip for eagle at the par 5 3rd. So those 2 1 clear of the field at 12 under par.
Ian, thank you very much. It's 3 minutes to 9 o'clock this Sunday morning. The win predictor that we always get shown at the start of every match, 79% in favour of Novak Djokovic. We're just seeing a shot of Garden Square. It is, wow, heavily decked out there with Serbian flags. That is a Serbian Garden Square right now. You can hear them making some noises. And just to say that Djokovic's father, Serjan, who was pictured earlier in the week with Putin sympathisers, he wasn't here for the semi-final. And unless he's sitting elsewhere, he is not alongside his wife, Russ, in the player box.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Gigi. The feeling had been that he probably would be here tonight. Novak Djokovic said in his press conference on Friday that he would be keen for him to come, but he did say they'd have a think about it, and maybe they have decided that it would be best not. Backhanded to the net from Tsitsipas, so he's looking a little bit shaky on his own serve in the early stages of this final. Not 15 down.
Fault.
Second serve now for Tsitsipas. Backhand return from Djokovic. Tsitsipas with the backhand cross-court. Djokovic cross-court with the backhand. Very deep from Djokovic. keeping a lot of pressure on his young opponent in this final. Backhand, cross-court Djokovic. Tsitsipas with the backhand. Djokovic with the backhand. Down the line goes Tsitsipas. Djokovic slips slightly after he plays the forehand. He's back on his feet, springing back up quickly. Slice backhand Djokovic to the very back of the court. Backhand from Djokovic cross-court. Tsitsipas, the single-handed backhand to the Djokovic backhand. Now cross-court and onto the sideline goes Tsitsipas, moving in to hit the drive volley. Fabulous way to end the rally.
Fantastic rally there. 25 shots, pure quality the whole way. Tsitsipas was able to hook a forehand across court wide. Novak floated the ball up, and Tsitsipas very cleverly came in, hit a good drive volley, only about the service line. Shouldn't be missing that, and hit it for a clean winner.
You see Djokovic come out second best on an extended rally like that. 25 shots, that one. A little bit braver from Tsitsipas, as you say, Pat, with that cross-court forehand, really opening up the angle.
$15 all. It's a return by Djokovic on the forehand. Now his backhand to the Tsitsipas backhand. Djokovic with the backhand. Tsitsipas has a forehand to look at now. The depth is fabulous from Djokovic, as it virtually always is. Backhand slice from Tsitsipas. Gets Djokovic into mid-court. Again, he hits to the very back of the court. And the error comes from Tsitsipas on the forehand. And Novak Djokovic looks absolutely dialed in at the start of this final, in stark contrast to the way he played the opening set against Tommy Paul in the semi-final on Friday.
Yeah, he looks like he's... sometimes you need a match like that. It shakes you up a little bit just to focus your concentration. He certainly poor start in his semi-final. It was, even though he won the set, it was all over the place.
Yeah, just seeing Djokovic walk to the back of the court, and he is just sucking in the air and really blowing out hard, trying to get the air into the lungs.
Service winner by Tsitsipas. Fires one to the backhand wing of Djokovic. And we saw that quite a bit in the semi-final as well, didn't we, Annabelle? But it may perhaps be tension more than lack of physical conditioning. I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I mean, he's just sort of, you can always tell with a player when they're feeling a little bit under stress, when they start breathing quite high up in the chest. And yeah, he's definitely sucking in the air. And he admitted, didn't he? He was struggling emotionally and physically in that match, just with a lot of stress going on.
30 all. Forehand hit cross-court by Djokovic. He's got Tsitsipas stretching for a forehand, which he cannot return in court. And he had 2 break points in the opening service game of Stefanos Tsitsipas's, and Novak Djokovic has another one now.
What a great forehand that was. It was really heavy, deep, bounced up. Tsitsipas was there. It wasn't there with plenty of time, and it just jumped up on him. It's almost a Rafa Nadal type of forehand, that one.
Will this be a 10th Australian Open title, a 22nd Grand Slam title for Djokovic? He's going to have a second serve to look at here as he tries to break Tsitsipas' serve for the first time in this final. He's gone for the big second serve, and he's gone long, Tsitsipas. Djokovic breaks for 3-1 first set.
Well, it's pretty clinical at the moment, isn't it, from Novak Djokovic? He knows exactly what he's got to do, with the tactics and implementing them, and just taking advantage of a little bit of lapses there in that last game from Tsitsipas. I think it's really interesting that he's come into this match without that heavy strapping on that left thigh, and I wonder whether that was just a psychological message for Tsitsipas as well, that that leg was not going to be a problem today.
Yeah, that would seem like a smart ploy if you know you're 100% fit again. Cast off the shackles for the final. The smash from Djokovic, a very gently paddled smash, having worked Tsitsipas into his backhand corner. 3-1, 15 love, and Djokovic will love the support inside this Rod Laver arena. Statistically in Melbourne, there are far more Greeks than Serbs, but it's still a sizable Serb contingent, and they always come out in great numbers As Gigi said, lots and lots of them watching in Garden Square, just outside Rod Laver Arena on the big screen by the fountain, sitting on the deck chairs or sitting on the grass. But many inside the arena here as Tsitsipas puts a forehand into the net, and they are certainly making much more noise than the Greek fans right now. The Greek flags haven't been fluttering for a couple of games.
Well, not getting an awful lot out of his forehand at the moment, Tsitsipas. That's his strength, but Novak's been dealing with it pretty well, other than that one really terrific cross-court forehand.
3-1, 30 love. Djokovic to the backhand of Tsitsipas. This is a fine return by Tsitsipas, but the backhand is a bad miss, and it's a miss by a long, long way as he frames his backhand cross-court reply.
Yeah, you can't really trust it at the moment, can you, Pat, the way he's shaping up for it?
It's just one of those shots that yeah, after 4 or 5, he has to change directions, do something with it, try and get away from that. It's almost like this slightly shorter one that has a bit more time. He feels like, okay, I can really lay into this one, and occasionally it's a beautiful one, but often that causes a miss hit. It's over swings.
40 love, second serve from Djokovic. Again, not a clean strike on the backhand by Tsitsipas, but he has won this point. Djokovic a little bit long as he tries to close out the game with a backhand down the line.
Oh, it didn't look like it missed by much. That was like an arrow going down the other end, wasn't it? Aiming towards that corner junction. It was a beautiful strike, just didn't quite execute it.
(3-1), 40-15. Djokovic with a couple of game points for 4-1. Got a good return there by Tsitsipas. Djokovic with almost a half volley from the baseline sends the forehand wide and just gently taps his racket into his right thigh to tell himself to perhaps move his feet or pull his finger out, but he must be delighted with the way he started this match. He was like a teacher there. He was not going to serve until there was silence in the Rod Laver Arena. Forehand reply from Tsitsipas. Can he come back from 40 love down to force juice here? Backhand drop shot from Tsitsipas. Djokovic saw it and he's thumped that away cross-court. Forehand winner. Great anticipation. Not the best execution from Tsitsipas. And Djokovic leads Gigi by 4-1.
4-1, Novak Djokovic with the lead in this first set. You were the BBC tennis team at the Australian Open in Melbourne. We do have some breaking news for you that Nadine Zahawi has been sacked by Rishi Sunak, with the Prime Minister telling the Tory chairman in a letter that it is clear that there has been a serious breach of the ministerial code. So if you're just joining us, Nadine Zahawi has been sacked by Rishi Sunak, and we'll have more reaction to this at the end of the set. Here with you in Melbourne, covering the final match at the Australian Open, keeping across the cricket, we are keeping across the golf, and the football will kick in from midday. But Pat Cash, I was just wondering, and we knew that nerves might play a part, and Tsitsipas missing with some of the serves, but just reading what Tommy Paul said in the semi-final against Djokovic, he said, I wanted to serve and volley, but I couldn't, as when I made my first serve, he was returning to the baseline, he was hitting so deep, I could not get him off the baseline. What does Tsitsipas have to do?
Yeah, well, that's a question I think every coach and player on the men's tour is trying to work out, because he hits the ball so deep and so hard, and it was interesting in the first Tsitsipas game. He came inside the baseline trying to take that ball early, not to give the opponent any time. Yeah, it's a real question. He certainly started very well, hit the ball very cleanly, and throwing a lot of questions at Tsitsipas, and the drop shot is a real clear sign of, I'm not sure what I have to do here. I'm just going to try and mix the play up and throw in a drop shot, which was pretty poor and easily dispatched.
It's only the one break of serve in this first set for the moment. Tsitsipas is coming forward and he's passed by Djokovic. Backhand cross-court, stunning passing winner from the 9-time champion.
Well, that was one of those shots that I was sort of questioning. Is Novak going to be able to do those screeching passing shots at full range with his leg? And That's exactly what he did. So that's a great sign for him and his team.
1-4, love 15. Tsitsipas serves. That's a slightly fortuitous return by Djokovic. Just clears the net. Gives Tsitsipas a little bit to do, but he makes no mistake, and he clenches his fist as he scores with a backhand winner.
Yeah, that wasn't that easy, actually, because Djokovic, if you say, slightly mishit it, didn't really get hold of it. It was very short and acute, and he had to really bend his knees, take care of that ball up the line, brushing up the back of it.
15-all. Forehand cross-court from Djokovic. Nice return again. The error. Forced error by Tsitsipas. Forehand into the net.
He's returning at will, isn't he? Anywhere he wants to at the moment. Djokovic, that time that he went down the line on previous wide serve on that first court, this time cross-court.
15-30 down. An ace from Tsitsipas. He's been love 30, 15-30 and 15-30 down in his 3 service games. Saved the break points first time around. Didn't last time around.
Gee, his 2 aces have been so close. 2 of his 3 have literally caught the outside edge of the line.
And he's really got to hang on here. He's missed the first serve. Remember, their 2 Grand Slam meetings before. Both happened to be at Roland Garros. They both went 5 sets, so Tsitsipas either wins the first 2 or loses the first 2 sets. I wonder what today's strategy is going to be. Backhand from Djokovic onto the forehand of Tsitsipas. Into the net from Djokovic with the forehand.
He sort of finished that forehand with a lasso type follow through and didn't really get hold of it. It was quite far behind the baseline. I feel like Tsitsipas is still trying to settle himself. I mean, I feel like the tennis that he's played to get into this final is far away from what we've so far seen. It's just going to take him a bit of time to really get motoring.
An ace from Tsitsipas, and you could hear the chants there. Just a reminder that certainly within the stadium itself, the Greeks possibly even number slightly more than the Serb fans. They had been quiet for a couple of games, but if this proves to be a very, very competitive and close match, it's going to be one of the best possible atmospheres you could ever hope to hear in a Grand Slam final. And remember, however you're listening to us at the moment, we are on BBC Sounds, as always on 5 Live. Right now we're on the very front of the BBC Sounds homepage, so you don't even need to look for 5 Sports Extra. Not that that's difficult, it's very, very user-friendly, but it's right there in front of you. Couldn't be easier. Novak Djokovic serving them. He's 4-2 up in the first set here on 5 Live, and that's another decent serve. And Stefanos Tsitsipas, the 6'4" 24-year-old from Athens, can't make the backhand return. Annabelle Croft is here, and so is Pat Cash.
Yeah, and it looks like
he's well on the first.
I was just going to say, Pat, it looks like he's got that ball toss a little bit straighter after you've had that chat with Goran.
Well, I think they know what to do. I think it was pretty clear from Goran's expression. Yes, I told him. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. It's hard to imagine that sometimes you play as a player, you don't.
Forehand return from Tsitsipas. Now he's stepping up to the baseline to hit another forehand. Forehand into the net from Tsitsipas.
Oh, that was halfway up the net, that one, wasn't it? That really wasn't a good strike. Didn't get hold of that ball at all. I think Djokovic is definitely benefiting from still quite a few unforced errors out of Tsitsipas's racket. And they might go away as this match unfolds.
He's been credited with 10 so far, Annabelle, which is twice as many as Djokovic. Louise Azamar-Engzel just asking for calm. It's her 7th Grand Slam singles final, and she's actually the first woman to umpire the Australian Open men's final since 2007. (4-2) 30 love. Second serve from Djokovic to the backhand of Tsitsipas. Djokovic long, a rare gift from the racket of the man who's trying to draw level with Rafael Nadal and with Steffi Graf on 22 Grand Slam singles titles. And then there's also the added intrigue as to whether not only can he finish his career with more Grand Slam singles titles than any other man, could he catch and overtake Serena Williams on 23 and Margaret Court, who has the all-time record on 24. Backhand reply from Tsitsipas, backhand from Djokovic, back to the Tsitsipas backhand, and now Djokovic making Tsitsipas run to hit a forehand. He's got him running to hit a backhand. He's got him beaten and stranded in the middle of the court, anticipating having to run to play a forehand. Instead, Djokovic just drilled it in behind him, and it's another point to the serve, the 35-year-old.
Beautiful ball striking from Novak, just moving that ball around on the baseline, up on it, pushing Tsitsipas behind it, and then the wrong footer to finish it off.
4-2, 40-15.
Oh.
And an air shot from Tsitsipas. Completely whiffed that.
Wasn't even close, actually, was he?
And there was no
6 inches
reason
away.
why that should have happened. One of those that he'll want to put out of his mind very quickly. Djokovic leads by 5 games to 2, Gigi.
Thank you, Russ. Just a reminder of the news that has broken in the last few minutes, that Nadine Zahawi has been sacked by Rishi Sunak, with the Prime Minister telling the Tory chairman in a letter that it is clear that there has been a serious breach of the ministerial code, and we'll have more reaction to that in the news, which is coming up for you at the end of this first set. Djokovic with the break, and wondering, Pat Cash, if you would like to take this opportunity to switch back to Novak Djokovic winning the title?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am going for Novak. I always was going for Novak. I picked him at the beginning of the tournament and picked him the whole way.
Well, people...
Oh, long way to go, long way to go, long way to go. But yeah, he's definitely started the... You know, he needed to improve. I felt he needed to improve 20% on his semi-final to take this title out, and so far he has. You know, he's played his best tennis of his life here on this court, and you know, all that experience is just very calm and collected. But there's still a long way to go. But the worrying signs for me is that Tsitsipas is not really getting much out of his ground strokes, out of his forehand, and you know, that's a very big, powerful shot, one of the best on the tour. But it's doing no damage at all, and it's whether it's Novak's pace or it's just that he's going towards the backhand side of Tsitsipas, not allowing him to do that. It's probably a bit of both.
2-5 down, Stefanos Tsitsipas. He's serving to stay in the first set. Seems a little inhibited at the moment. Not the man we've seen in the first 6 rounds, but that is no great surprise when you're playing a Grand Slam final and you're up against Novak Djokovic, who's never lost a semi-final or a final in Melbourne. Down the line goes Djokovic with the backhand. Another backhand just carefully placed onto the forehand of Tsitsipas. Djokovic lifts the forehand down the line. There's some nice varieties, keeping his opponent on the move. And then one of those rank bad shots from Djokovic as he completely mishits a short backhand and dumps it into the net.
That's a good play from Tsitsipas. He's got a very, very good slice backhand, and they're hitting that low and hard and short across court. That's not a nice place to be for a player with Novak's grips. He's going to have to use that often.
15 love, Tsitsipas. Another mighty fine return by Djokovic, and Tsitsipas goes long in reply.
Yeah, they're with the new balls in this game, aren't they? And the ball's just flying just a little bit more. They seem to take off from the strings there of Tsitsipas and leave them pretty quickly.
So many reasons Stefanos Tsitsipas wants to win this title, and especially here in Melbourne with that big Greek population. The climate, which he says reminds him of growing up in the Athenian Riviera, as Djokovic goes long with the forehand return. And also because his grandfather, whom he never met because he died relatively young, won an Olympic gold medal with the Soviet Union here in the football competition at the 1956 Melbourne Olympics. And within 100 metres or so of where we are now at the MCG. Ace from Tsitsipas. He moves to 40-15.
Say swimming?
Football.
Football, okay.
Did I say football? I meant to say football.
I don't know. You probably did.
Two 40-15. Ace from Tsitsipas. By far and away his most comfortable service hold of the match so far.
Yeah, he's serving well, isn't he? Tsitsipas sort of kept him into this match. Served a couple of aces in a couple of games. And he's needed to, because Novak's been all over that second serve, really thumping it back. And he's asking the question now.
Yeah, Tsitsipas just
Novak to serve it out.
Yeah, he's just gone to change his racket as well, Tsitsipas. Seems like he wants some new strings, a fresh grip. Going to try and make something happen as he tries to stop Novak serving out this set.
5-3. Djokovic then for the first set of the Australian Open final on 5 Live this morning. He's got a short return from Tsitsipas. Meat and drink to Djokovic. Forehand cross-court winner, 3 points away from taking the opening set. Really not made any inroads on the Djokovic serve so far, Tsitsipas. If he doesn't in this game, it's going to be too late, at least as far as the first set is concerned. Down the tee, good serve from Djokovic. Good return this too by Tsitsipas, who now hits a forehand into the net. He was a long way behind the baseline, forced there by Djokovic, but he has got to cut down on these unforced errors if he's going to be competitive in this final.
Yeah, because the forehand side is what's done so much damage throughout the course of the tournament. He's been so free-flowing with it, very aggressive, attacking, and I thought he was going to come into this match all out aggression on that side, but as Pat said, it's just a bit wayward at the moment.
5-3, 30 love. Djokovic first serve into the net.
He's getting pushed a long way back, isn't he, by Novak's depth, so he's going to be less damaging when he's 6-10 feet behind the baseline than he wants to be up near the baseline.
Second serve, backhand from Tsitsipas. Djokovic with the forehand cross-court. Tsitsipas hits the forehand to the backhand of Djokovic. They are heading down the centre of this blue court in Melbourne, the Rod Laver Arena. Backhand hit by Djokovic to the forehand of Tsitsipas. Good depth from Tsitsipas now, and there you go. He gets his just rewards as Djokovic nets.
Having a bit of success, isn't he? Going in hard to the Djokovic forehand. Hasn't been able to do it too often, but he's won 2 or 3 points there now. Novak hitting the ball into the net.
33rd Grand Slam final for Djokovic. 2 points away from the first set at 5-3, 30-15. No man has played in that many. Excellent kick serve out to the backhand of Tsitsipas. And Tsitsipas plays what almost passes for a lob, and it's a long way over the baseline. And these are 2 set points for Djokovic.
Clever serve. Yeah, taking the pace off, making sure he gets his first serve in, doesn't let Tsitsipas attack a second serve. But there was a heavy kick, like a 3/4 serve, but bounced way over Tsitsipas's shoulder.
Set point number 1, forehand reply, long from Tsitsipas, who's not been sharp enough so far, but that is mostly because Novak Djokovic has not allowed him. What a statement first set from the man chasing a 10th Australian Open title and a 22nd Grand Slam singles title. The no-lay chants are dominating inside the Rod Laver Arena for now at least. First set Djokovic, 6-3.
Closing it out in just 36 minutes. Plenty more to come from the final match at this year's Australian Open at Melbourne Park. But with the time now, 9:23 this Sunday morning, let's get the news on 5 Live with Matthew Bone.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Yushi, and let's focus on that breaking news. The chair of the Conservative Party, Nadhim Zahawi, has been sacked by the Prime Minister. In a letter, Rishi Sunak told Mrs Zahawi that it is clear that there's been a serious breach of the ministerial code. Mrs Zahawi's been under pressure to resign over his tax affairs after it emerged that he paid a penalty as part of a settlement with Revenue and Customs totalling about £5 million. He was Chancellor at the time. He's always insisted that he acted properly. Well, the Levelling Up Secretary Michael Gove says that Rishi Sunak made his decision after seeing a report from his ethics advisor this morning. Mr Gove spoke on BBC One's Sunday with Laura Koonsberg minutes after the story broke.
When facts emerged about the position in which Nadeem found himself, the Prime Minister said we need an independent investigation. Sir Laurie Magnus, who, as you pointed out, is the independent advisor on ministerial standards, on ethics, was asked to look rapidly at the situation. He concluded his report. He wrote to the Prime Minister, I think, early today. And then the Prime Minister, immediately upon receipt of the letter, decided that Nadeem could no longer stay in the Cabinet.
And of course, we'll have updates on this story throughout the game, the next one after the second set.
This is 5 Live Sport with Gigi Salmon.
Thank you very much to Matthew with the news. So 24 minutes past 9, 36 minutes on the clock for the first set. And Annabelle, maybe we shouldn't be surprised. Novak Djokovic has been there, seen it, done it so many times, but also with the head-to-head. He's won the last 9 matches against Stefanos Tsitsipas, and he said in his press conference, I can figure him out. I know the tactics to play him.
Well, he does know the tactics to play him, but of course he's got to come out here and play with freedom and really be able to execute them and play at the top of his game. And that hasn't been the case at the start of this match with Tsitsipas. As Pat's been saying, the forehand has been a little bit wayward, way too many unforced errors. And Djokovic is so good at finding out where the opponent's level is, raising the bar a little bit more, but also not allowing him to play with the freedom and to find those weapons and strengths that he brings onto the court. So I feel like both of them have not played completely their best. I feel like Djokovic still has many gears to go, but Tsitsipas certainly has to come up a couple of notches.
Let's see if we can get a response from Stefanos Tsitsipas. The voice there of Annabelle Croft. You'll also hear that of Pat Cash, and in the commentary hot seat now, David Law.
Thank you very much, Gigi. Well, they've shared the first 2 points of the second set. A shanked forehand just going out from Tsitsipas cross court, and he's just in front of our commentary box window at the moment and does look a little bit confused, trying to find some answers up against the great Novak Djokovic, who's won this title 9 times before, never lost a final here. Good serve out wide from Tsitsipas, aged 24 years of age. He burst on the scene a few years ago, beating Roger Federer on this court, and maybe it's taken him a little longer to get to this final, 4 years, than we might have thought, but he's certainly been excellent in this tournament. That's his best backhand of the match so far. Down the line it goes, it hits the line, he clenches his fist, and we're looking at a man right now, Pat Cash, who needed some good news, and that's a decent way to start.
Yeah, the absolutely best backhand of the match. Really got hold of that one beautifully down the line. There was a bit of space there, but he had to hit it really nicely and hit it beautifully. Even got a thumbs up from Novak.
Tends to happen from Novak Djokovic particularly, although I think he is pretty sporting. It tends to happen a lot when he's totally in command, and he doesn't mind congratulating his opponents on a good shot. Forehand put away by Tsitsipas. That'll make him feel a little bit better as he changes ends and has the first game of the second set on the board.
Well, that was about as positive a start as Tsitsipas could have wished for, and he just looked as if the shackles had come off a bit in that opening game of this second set. Much freer hitting, beautiful backhand up the line. He has been serving pretty well anyway, and I wonder what difference it will make, the fact that he's now going to serve first in this set as opposed to sort of chasing that scoreline, a little bit nervous, a lot of shanks coming out of his racket, whereas now it's going to be Novak always serving to try and keep that scoreline as tight as possible.
So Novak Djokovic is down this near end of the court where we sit, ground level at the back of the court behind a window, and a window that quite often has tennis balls smashing into it from the players' serves from down the other end of the court at 135 miles an hour. Does make you wince a bit. There's a good serve out wide from Djokovic, and the forehand goes long from Tsitsipas, and just seeing Djokovic in another one of these finals takes my mind back to others that he's been in, where it's so easy to think that the opponent is just in the right frame of mind to cause him trouble. Maybe Djokovic hasn't had things all his own way on the way to the final as he serves down the centre, and Tsitsipas goes wide. And I'm thinking in particular, Pat, of the match that Djokovic played against Rafael Nadal here in 2019. And they both arrived, they both just won comfortable semi-finals, and we're all ready for a classic. And Djokovic won 6-3, 6-4, 6-2 in about an hour and a half. Absolutely destroyed him.
Absolutely amazing tennis. Why here? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he can put his finger on why he plays so good here. He plays his best tennis here, but that was absolute demolition. To be fair, I think Rafa was a little bit under the weather physically. And Novak was in no mood to give him any sympathy.
We had another one a couple of years later against Daniil Medvedev, when I thought Medvedev looked as good as Djokovic on the way there, as Djokovic hits another forehand winner down the line, and Djokovic won that final in straight sets, and he's taken the first set here, has Djokovic, the 9-time champion, 6-3, and he levels up comfortably, Annabelle, at 1 game all. It's going to be so hard to just rattle him, it seems to me, today.
It looks to me as if he's been doing some meditation before he came onto this court today, because this is a very different body language than we've seen from the previous 3 matches, actually. Even though he was winning in the scoreline in those matches, we saw him bellowing at his support camp. He wasn't happy about a few things, and the whole energy of what he brought to the court was very different to what we're seeing today. Very calm today. Not a peep out of him. Even if he's missed the odd ball, he just is very businesslike, very calm. Looks very composed.
Yes, only lost the 1 set on his way to this position in this tournament as Novak Djokovic, as the players trade ground strokes from the far end of the court, and Tsitsipas goes cross court with his forehand, and what a forehand on the line that is from Tsitsipas. His firmest of the match so far, and it actually does some damage against Djokovic to take him to 30 love.
I felt like that one sat up a little bit into the middle of the court, and he's been weirdly going after the forehand, it seems, a little bit more than the backhand, which is definitely the weaker side for Tsitsipas. But that last forehand of Novak just sitting too much into that strike zone, and Tsitsipas unleashing the power on that last one.
Fault.
This is 5 Live at the Australian Open, the men's singles final, with Novak Djokovic trying for a 10th title. He hits his backhand down the centre against Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece in his first final here. Lovely forehand cross-court from Tsitsipas. Starting to play a bit now. He's hit a sideline. He's gone to 40 love. These are baby steps, Pat, but they're important ones.
Big steps, actually. Yeah, he's really hitting the ball much cleaner. The forehand he's starting to do some damage with, and yeah, I agree with Annabelle. I'm not sure why Novak is starting to target the forehand. Maybe he's trying to get to the forehand so he can open up that backhand side.
Another good serve down the centre, but it comes back so firmly from Djokovic. Mr. Elastic down this near end of the court, sliding into the ball, sliding into another ball. Tsitsipas just can't hit winners, so he tries a drop shot. Djokovic reaches it, but puts it into the net with the backhand. And the Greek flags are flying now, and Tsitsipas is getting pumped up. Yeah. He's held for 2-1, Gigi, and he certainly started set number 2 rather more positively.
He certainly has, and we're starting to hear the Greek fans that little bit louder. So 9:32 Sunday morning, lots of sport taking place today, including the cricket that we've been keeping an eye on. You can follow it via the BBC Sport website, but even better is staying with us and getting updates of South Africa against England with Kevin Howells.
Tough going for England batting. They're 76 for 2 in the 16th over. The power play, they've got 42 for 2. The batter's out. Jason Roy for 9, down the line for 12. The not-out pair, Harry Brook and Ben Duckett. A blow for South Africa, though. Their wicket-keeper, Quinton de Kock, off the field. He's injured his wrist. 76 for 2, England in the 16th.
Thank you, Kevin. Annie and Carter is keeping across the Dubai Desert Classic.
Rory McIlroy teeing off with an imperious drive down the 8th in a share of the lead, having birdied the first 4 holes, the world number 1. He's 4 under for his round. He's in a 3-way tie for the lead with Adrian Aus of Spain and Thomas Pieters, the Belgian. They're all at 12 under par, 1 clear of the group that includes the Englishman Richard Bland, and Dan Bradbury's having a decent day as well. This 21-year-old from Yorkshire playing with McIlroy. He's 2 under for his round, 10 under, 2 behind.
Thank you. And Steve Crossman's live in Wrexham from 12. Loads of guests ahead of their match against Sheffield United at 4:30. Got Brighton against Liverpool commentary from 1:30. Elsewhere in Welsh Rugby Union's acting CEO Nigel Walker says the body faces an existential crisis. Walker has taken over the WRU following the resignation of Chief Executive Steve Phillips. All 4 Welsh regions backed calls this week for Phillips to step down after allegations of misogyny, sexism and racism within the organisation. And a reminder of today's breaking news that Nadine Zahawi has been sacked by Rishi Sunak, with the Prime Minister telling the Tory chairman in a letter that it is clear that there has been a serious breach of the ministerial code. We will have more on that breaking news at the conclusion of the second set. And while David Tsitsipas has started the second set a lot better, a stat he won't want to know, Djokovic has won 13 Grand Slams and lost just 3 when winning the first set in a Grand Slam final.
Yes, Gigi, the coaching teams have an iPad in front of them, don't they, with all the stats on them. I suspect that Mark Philippoussis and Stefanos' dad are not going to maybe let him know that one. Here's a backhand cross-court and long from Djokovic, and that's a rare unforced error. Just starting to change a little bit here, Pat.
Yeah, his last game, Tsitsipas, is definitely the best game of the match, and that's much like he's been playing the whole tournament. Really aggressive, got holds of forehands, and Novak screeching from side to side, stretching as far as he possibly can, and that's exactly where Tsitsipas wants him.
Fault.
Serving high percentage at the moment, Novak. Wonder if he can keep that up.
The ball bouncing of Novak Djokovic at the far end of the court. You can hear a pin drop, despite 15,000 people being present inside the Rod Laver Arena, where Stefanos Tsitsipas is trying to find a way back here. Lost the first set, but he's got 15-30 on the Novak Djokovic serve right now, because that is an unforced error on the backhand side, Annabelle, from the great Djokovic.
Yeah, he's just starting to get a little bit wobbly on that side once again, as he had done against Tommy Paul in that opening set, where he's sort of planting his feet and then looking a little unbalanced when he's playing it. He tried to hook that one, got it all wrong. So a real door opening here for Tsitsipas, and the crowd can sense the energy of the atmosphere is shifting quite rapidly.
So, a little opening maybe for Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece, trying to become the first ever player from Greece to win a Grand Slam singles title. He's got 15-30 on the Djokovic serve. He's got a second serve to look at, and there's a lot of ball bouncing coming from Djokovic now, which tends to suggest he's a little bit edgy as he hits his forehand inside out. Well struck shot by Djokovic, wrong footing Tsitsipas, who gets to the ball though, now hits his big forehand on the line. He's being pushed side to side as Tsitsipas, showing great athleticism just to stay in these points, but Djokovic is a mid-forehand to put away into the corner. Lob lifted by Tsitsipas, smash from Djokovic, and he puts it away.
Well, he got out to the Tsitsipas backhand, didn't he? He still believes that if he can get out there regularly enough, he'll get a short ball, and that's exactly what he got. Miss it. Topspin backhand from Tsitsipas, open stance backhand. It's a tough one to pull off. That one, he's pretty good at it, but time and time again. And then the nice short ball to finish off, and finish off with a smash.
30-all point now for Djokovic. Good serve down the centre, but chipped back by Tsitsipas, who lobs over the head of Djokovic, who smashes. But there's Tsitsipas with a forehand, but he's top-edged it over the baseline. He's having little opportunities, but he's just not taking them.
Yeah, that was a smash there, and he took a full-blooded swing at it. I'm not sure. That's a regular Tsitsipas mistake, taking a full-blooded swing. I think he thought he could hit the clean winner off that, but he didn't need to take the swing. He could have shortened that one up and just punched right through it. But the extra swing just brings that element of risk into it.
Ace out wide from Djokovic, and he just dispatches any doubts, and then he seems to be eyeballing somebody in the crowd that may have slightly irritated him. No great surprise there, and now he's skipping out, having deposited his towel in the box, and he is lapping up the cheers of the Serbian waving flags.
Well, Novak's really keen. He ran across to the side of the court. He's been doing very well on the first point of his service games and returns to date. But he knows that Tsitsipas is coming back at him. It's the time to really put the hammer down.
And if we think there's a lot of Serbian flags inside the stadium, you should have a look outside the stadium, where they're watching on a big screen, literally thousands of them in the public area, alongside several hundred Greek supporters as well. It's one heck of a massive humanity out there. And
it's mad out there, isn't it? It really is.
I've never seen that many people outside the stadium in all the years that I've been coming, the last 20.
It's a great atmosphere.
It's quite something.
A few policemen out there as well.
They sure are. And yes, let's hope it. And Novak Djokovic was saying in his most recent press conference, he hopes that everybody's here for tennis just to enjoy themselves and there's no trouble. He doesn't think there will be. He thinks that the fans will get along fine. And so far, so good. Here's a forehand down the line from Djokovic, and Tsitsipas attacking the net. And that's something we haven't seen very often today, Annabelle. And he's successful with it. Is that something he's going to have to do if he wants to win this match? I mean, he's hardly gone to the net today.
Well, I think so, but I also think he hasn't had much opportunity. As we're always saying about Djokovic, you might have these intentions, as Tommy Paul did, and he's capable too, but you can't get there because of the depth of ground strokes from Novak Djokovic. But that backhand was a little bit better, wasn't it? It sort of reared up to Djokovic. It got a little bit more weight behind it. And I think that's, to me, in my mind, the Tsitsipas backhand is the weaker side. And he can't do as much damage with that. And again, it's the errors of the forehand from Tsitsipas today.
Well, it's a pressure, you see. Now that you know that the backhand is, he's just trying to do his best with it, get in the rallies and occasional short ball, go for it. He's got more pressure to do more with his forehand. And we've just seen 2 unforced errors in this game off that forehand. Going for shots.
9 unforced errors off the forehand in total from Tsitsipas, but that's a good shot from him. That's going to find the court though from Djokovic. His retrieving skills are extraordinary. Forehand cross court from Tsitsipas. How does he win the point? Well, he wins it like that, with a forehand cross court that even Djokovic can't get back. And a little nod of the head by Rod Laver and Ken Rosewell in the president's box, who are looking down the great champions of this sport from yesteryear.
I think that was actually an opportunity for Djokovic. Normally we see him redirecting the ball so efficiently from cross-court to down the line, and he just didn't get hold of that massive roar from Tsitsipas. Frustration from Djokovic.
He's holding on by his fingernails, is Tsitsipas, but successfully so with that serve out wide.
Yeah, Novak's getting most of those first serves back, isn't he? He's at full strength, full stretch. That's been a change from what we've seen throughout the tournament for Djokovic.
First set, Djokovic 6-3, and very comfortably so. We've only had 55 minutes so far. 2 games all in the second set of this men's singles final at the Australian Open. Point for Tsitsipas to take a 3-2 lead, but he's double faulted.
That wasn't a smooth service motion, was it? It looked like that ball toss was quite far over his back. We're looking at his dad up in the stands, playing every point from up there. He is looking highly stressed. Second double fault for Tsitsipas.
I feel anxious just looking at Dad Apostolos. I'm not even playing. Goodness knows how Stefanos is feeling. And 2 seats down from Apostolos, his new addition to the coaching box over the last 8 months, Mark Philippoussis, who's reached a Wimbledon final in his time. And Tsitsipas hits a good serve into the body that Djokovic can only net on return. Advantage Tsitsipas for a 3-2 lead.
And US final.
Yeah, that's right.
Sitting in his coaching box.
And you were coaching him.
Yeah. There's a story behind that one.
We'll get onto that. Here's a serve down the middle by Tsitsipas, but they all come back because this guy is the most incredible returner perhaps we've ever seen. Djokovic, who hits his forehand down the line, and a backhand cross court. Big hitting here from Tsitsipas, but they're still coming back. Forehand on the line, doesn't know. And he raises the racket to this crowd, and people are on their feet. Finally, the Greek wielding flags have something to cheer, and Tsitsipas leads 3-2 second set, training a set to love.
It is an amazing noise at the Rod Laver Arena. Lots for us to be keeping an eye on this Sunday morning, including the cricket with news of a wicket. Kevin Howells.
Ben Duckett is out, 3rd wicket down, out for 20 off 32 deliveries, just 1-4. It shows how difficult it is for England's batting. The spinner Maharaj introduced, first over caught at wide, long on. Joss Buttler, Harry Brook, the not-out pair. Brook is on 35 off 36 balls. England 87 for 3 in the 18th over.
Kevin, thank you. Keep across the Cricket by the BBC Sport website. If you're going out and about, just open the BBC Sounds app, and there we are. Tennis team on the homepage. Click on that and you can have a listen to this Grand Slam final unfolding. And I've got a quiz question for the commentary team. I'll give you the answer at the next change. You can randomly shout out names, or David, you can be like team leader and round them up. But we've got 8 active's the key word, male singles players have won a Grand Slam title. I would like from yourself, Annabelle and Pat, the names of the 8 active players before the next change of ends.
Okay, Pat, come on. I'll give you first go.
I'll give you trickier ones. Cilic, Wawrinka.
Yep.
Nadal, Djokovic, of course. Murray, yeah. What's that? How many is that?
Oh, team.
5 or 6 with team.
Ooh,
so you're missing 2. Active being the key word.
Daniil Medvedev.
Yes.
Well done.
And the final one?
Federer.
Active.
No, active. Yeah, not active. Okay.
He certainly blew it.
Can't believe we haven't got them all.
Who is it, Gigi?
The current world number 1. Carlos Alcaraz. The blank looks I was getting in the silence.
I nearly forgot who he was for a second then.
Gracious.
Terrible, isn't it? Wasn't here, of course, Carlos Alcaraz, unable to play this tournament because of injury. What a shame that was. Won the US Open, of course, last summer in the absence of Novak Djokovic, who couldn't play because of not being vaccinated. What a drop shot that is from Tsitsipas. Ball just flicking the top of the net, and Djokovic sliding into the ball, and now Djokovic is letting his support team have an earful.
That's the first sign of a bit of stress from Novak Djokovic. And it was a brilliant drop shot, as you say. He got hold of it with the racket face, lovely feel on it, and it just died. It almost kind of stuttered across the court. And Novak, as quick as he is, he really couldn't get to that.
Got the first point of the game. I don't think he's got one first point on the Djokovic serve.
No, this is a big little victory. A big little victory, is that possible? Here's an inside-out forehand by Djokovic, lob lifted by Tsitsipas, smashed by Djokovic, and he just snuffs that out.
Weird shot there from Tsitsipas. He might have been thinking that Djokovic was coming in, but even if he was coming in, to slice defensive lob as the guy's coming in is really easy to handle. Just every once in a while he's just throwing in a bad choice of shot or an unforced error, but they're reducing rapidly.
15 all. A serve down the centre from Djokovic is destructive. Something that his coach Goran Ivanisevic will love to see.
Once again, I thought that ball toss was quite far to the right, Pat, but
it was, wasn't it?
Still nailed it down the line.
That was a long way to the right. It's 74% first serves. He's still sticking around that margin. That's very good serving. Very good serving. Anything in near the 70% is very good.
Tsitsipas just hanging on a little here in the second set, just as he needed to, finding his feet in this first Australian Open final of his. Djokovic first set 6-3, Tsitsipas second set 3-2 on serve. Now 40-15 for Djokovic as he smacks the serve out wide, and he's just does seem ultra focused though tonight compared to a couple of nights ago against Tommy Paul of the United States when he was 5-1 up and had set point, and it ended up going to 5-all, and he suddenly lost his timing completely. Gave a very considered press conference afterwards to talk about the stress that had been caused by all the headlines created by his father having a photo taken with pro-Putin supporter as he hits his inside-out forehand, does Djokovic, whips his forehand cross-court deep. Tsitsipas tries to get it back down the line, he can't. That one's gone wide, so Djokovic levels up at 3 games all, Djokovic was explaining that he felt his dad had been used by that group who had just snapped him as he was walking through, having his picture taken with Serbian fans. And he said it did affect me, it got to me. And as far as we're aware, Dad's surgeon is not here tonight, just as he wasn't in the previous round.
Yeah, and he'd said he wanted his dad to be there for the final, and he said we'll have to see how things kind of pan out over the next couple of days, but clearly they've decided better for him not to be here.
Certainly not visibly anyway, maybe he's somewhere else in the stadium. That is a gorgeous backhand from Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece, taking it on the rise, smacking it down the line, and now punch in the air, and you feel like he needs to A, go for it, and B, get inspired somehow, because he hasn't really felt that part of this match so far.
No, it's been coming the last few games. It's the frustration, a little bit of frustration to Djokovic, knowing that he's starting to hit the line, starting to hit the right shots, and that backhand was even better than the one in his last service game.
Forehand return on the rise by Djokovic, just dismissed. Goodness me.
That's a mini win, because that's just going to throw a little bit of doubt in the Tsitsipas mind about the second serve. He served a couple of double faults, but he hasn't had that really thump down his throat like he did in that one.
15 all, 3 games all. Close second set. Forehand miscued down the line by Tsitsipas, and Djokovic jogging past our window here to our left with a little clench of the fist, and Goran Ivanisevic clapping his hands together in the front row of the box.
Well, I think you're spot on there, Pat. I think that forehand dismiss and dispatch shot that Djokovic hit on the previous point was actually worth 2, wasn't it? It just had much higher value. Certainly giving Tsitsipas something to think about.
Tsitsipas just found it so difficult to settle in this match because his opponent just doesn't allow it. He hits so deep, he's constantly putting him under pressure.
Djokovic standing on the way out to the backhand side
to hit that backhand, cross-court and target the Tsitsipas backhand. Tsitsipas now with a forehand, can he be destructive with it? Well, it comes back at him. Now he goes cross-court with a backhand, trying to stop Djokovic getting a couple of break points here. On the rise, he hits his looping backhand, Tsitsipas, then a forehand cross-court. Now forehand on the line, Djokovic. Now he moves to his left and slides into the ball, but puts it halfway up the net, and now he's on the ground, Djokovic. He stumbled as he hit that two-handed backhand, and he is flat on his back at the moment. Just getting up rather gingerly, but he lost his footing. Seems okay, but that was quite a heavy fall.
What happened there? That was bizarre.
Yeah, I think he was trying to go for the open stance backhand, but just couldn't quite get there, and planted that right leg, which is across his body. Planted it a little bit heavy, and just rolled over on the top, over the top of his body there. No harm done, hopefully.
His foot might have just caught and stumbled a tiny bit as he went for that. But I also think a lot of these players, they want to drop the racket quickly so that they don't hurt their hands when they fall.
Underneath the lob is Tsitsipas, puts it away to move to 40-30 at 3 games all in the second set.
Yeah, Novak's dropped his racket here, and he's looking at his finger. I think he might have hurt it a little bit. He went for that tumble. Not going to be affecting him too much, I wouldn't have thought. But the good sign for him is that he's really stretching wide, and this was a concern of mine at the beginning of the match. You know, whether he could get right out, and do some amazing retrieving that we know he has done in the past.
Pat Cash alongside Annabelle Croft here. There's a lovely backhand sit down the line by Tsitsipas. Then a forehand, he's attacking the net now, Tsitsipas. Underneath a lob, smashes straight back to Djokovic. Backhand volley is missed by Tsitsipas. Into the tram lines.
They just keep coming back, don't they? They just keep coming back. And that's what I was, the question mark I had. You know, with that hamstring, he's just... restrictions that he's had through this tournament, whether he is willing or is able to get those shots back that he did there, and picked up that smash. hit it across court nicely. Tsitsipas was right there. As the ball's coming across there, you've got to make sure that you don't hit it wide. The ball's heading in that direction.
Backhand return down the middle by Djokovic. Here is an attacking forehand by Tsitsipas, but has he overextended?
Oh,
no.
He's got the line, I think.
Outside edge of the line with a drive knee-high volley. That was difficult to control. And Djokovic is full of chat here with his support team. And Goran Ivanisevic in here in a really lively debate.
Well, he's played some great points this match, this game, Djokovic, and Tsitsipas has got the game point. He's played about as good as he can, Djokovic, so there's a bit of frustration.
Forehand return down the middle from Djokovic, whose game point down. This for Tsitsipas to take a 4-3 lead here. And that was very close to the outside edge by Djokovic. It's huge forehand from him, scooped back by Djokovic. Mid-court forehand, but it's straight back to Tsitsipas, who plays a lovely backhand cross-court that Djokovic can't control. And Djokovic is eyeballing Goran Ivanisevic again. And this is really strange to see. They are just glaring at one another. And Stefanos Tsitsipas has taken a 4-3 lead in the second set and is making a match of this, Gigi.
It's amazing, isn't it, Annabelle, how much can happen in just one game. You have Djokovic winning a point that could put doubt in Tsitsipas's mind. You have Djokovic then falling over, so swings it back to Stefanos Tsitsipas. And then Djokovic up to his box. I noticed that Djokovic's mum and brother, they turned their heads away to the left while he was just eyeballing and mouthing words towards Goran Ivanisevic.
Well, it's just bizarre, isn't it? I mean, I'd love to know what he's saying, but it's not the first time we've seen him like this. But I think it also underlines and indicates the stress levels that Tsitsipas is causing, because the way that he's playing his tennis in the last 15-20 minutes is starting to push Djokovic into much more uncomfortable positions. He's less able to dictate and control the points. He's more defensive, having to retrieve a lot more balls. And, you know, it's weird when you see Djokovic, who is in control of the match. He's a set-up, it's very tight. And you feel like if you start really losing control of your emotions and composure here, and you're actually battling your coach in the corner as well as the opponent, you know, it's just not great. It's just exhausting and emotionally very draining. And, you know, Goran Ivanisevic looks very, very uncomfortable. He doesn't know where to look. He's been bellowing back, but he looks like his eyes have really gone down to two little dark holes, haven't they? I mean, it's not a great situation.
I think he's just happy, Goran Ivanisevic, that when they change, Djokovic will be the far end of the court, and we've now got coaching that's allowed from the sides, but only if it doesn't distract your opponent, and only if you are at the same end as your team. So this time around, there will be no discussions between the respective boxes, and the respective boxes, probably David Law will be taking a huge sigh of relief.
Yes. Yeah, coaches do get a bit of a hard time, don't they, at times?
Of course.
Still need to find out what it was you and Mark Philippoussis got up to at the US Open in 1998, wasn't it? And Philippoussis got to the final of the US Open, beaten by Pat Rafter. Forehand driven cross-court by Novak Djokovic and wide.
New balls here. That time Novak, I said, I've still been fascinated by how players have still struggled to adjust between the old balls, which are very slow, and the new balls, which are very fast. That time Novak had the ball to hit for the winner, but just overplayed it, flew off his racket.
Second time in as many service games, Djokovic finds himself at love 15 down, but he then hits an ace to level things up. This is 5 Live at the Australian Open. From 12, 5 Live Sport will be in Wrexham today with Steve Crossman. Loads of guests ahead of their FA Cup match against Sheffield United at 4:30. We've got Brighton against Liverpool. Commentary from 1:30. Here's a forehand blocked return by Tsitsipas down the centre. And now he goes down the middle with a backhand. And a top-edge forehand missed out of almost into the crowd by Djokovic. I mean, I'm expecting to see a few of those from Tsitsipas. That feels very unusual from Djokovic.
Yeah, that's just a classic new ball situation. Just jumped off the court a fraction, and Djokovic had the open court, hit a good forehand there. It was a great time to come in, and they would have had a nice easy volley to put away. Decided not to, and that's slightly wobbly miss-hit backhand from Tsitsipas really jumped off the court.
Stress levels rising for Novak Djokovic, who misses a first serve at 15:30. Tsitsipas is 4-3 up. The man with the shoulder-length brown hair held back by a headband. He's like a sort of 6'4" Bjorn Borg. He will return with a single-handed backhand and loop it down inside the baseline. Then another one, a deep one, that hits the top of the net from Djokovic. In comes the backhand by Tsitsipas, but he's floated it long. And an apology wave of the hand from Djokovic. But actually Tsitsipas had a chance there, didn't he? He was there.
Had two chances. Novak hitting the not a very clean backhand at all. It's definitely some tension. Hit the top of the net, popped up, and then Tsitsipas was careful, and he needed to be careful. Just pushed it deep as he possibly could, but again, the new ball situation just flew a foot long. Very makeable shot. Couldn't get a better chance, really.
Tsitsipas is right in this second set now. And Djokovic's confidence levels and composure have dropped.
Yeah, they're teetering, aren't they?
His composure generally, his attitude. We've seen it flicker and fluctuate throughout the 2 weeks. And we're getting one of those now. Here he hits his knee-high forehand, whips it over the net, does Djokovic. Then a backhand on the rise that Tsitsipas meets with his single-handed backhand, a really acute angle. Now he's got the forehand hit, he's hit the corner. Djokovic on the run, forehand on the line by Tsitsipas, and he comes in, hits a backhand volley, but he nets! And another chance for Tsitsipas. Incredible sliding athleticism from Djokovic, who's now starting to eyeball the crowd again and engage with his supporters.
Tsitsipas did everything right at that point, didn't he? Except make the volley. He was in the right position. He was dipping, but only slightly. Just dropped below the level of the net. Just needed one more inch, and it was the perfect finish to just about a perfect point.
Yeah, it feels as if he's doing all the right things out here, constructing the points in the right way, and Djokovic got away with that one.
Forehand inside out, struck by
there's the mishit
Djokovic,
backhand.
and the mishit backhand indeed from Tsitsipas, and Djokovic digs himself out of that little 15-30 hole, and he's levelled up at 4 games all, and the pressure now down this end of the court for Stefanos Tsitsipas.
David and Pat, to see, the composure is changing and shifting quite rapidly from Djokovic, and whereas we were talking about how, composed, controlled, very, very calm at the start of this match, and now his head is lifted quite often, looking and staring and eyeballing lots of different people in the crowd. It's really kind of trying to use almost the anger to try and channel his own tennis.
4-all in the second set. The first set was a serene exhibition of Novak Djokovic's brilliance as he won it 6-3. This is a different story. Forehand hit inside out by Tsitsipas onto the backhand of Djokovic, and now he'll hit a cross-court forehand, will Tsitsipas. He's on his toes here. Djokovic hits his forehand cross-court to the big forehand down the line by Tsitsipas, who rolls up his sleeve as if to show his bicep and how hard he can hit the ball. Wow, that was a heavy shot.
Well, Djokovic continuing to go to the Tsitsipas forehand unusually. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. It was almost like he was just warming him up. And just a fraction wider that time, and Tsitsipas had the line. It was all his, and he made it beautifully.
And he follows it with an ace.
Well, I must admit, Pat, I thought the tactics today would be to go into that backhand and really kind of break it down and not allow Tsitsipas to control and dictate the play, because he can't do as much off that side. But it's been the reverse, hasn't it, with Djokovic going so much into the forehand.
Well, he started that way, and now it's almost like he's changed the tactics.
Even from the far end of the court, Novak Djokovic just will not leave Goran Ivanisevic alone. He has just spent the entirety of the break between the points there as Tsitsipas hits another ace, asking something of Goran, as if to say, so you still think I should be going there?
Yeah.
It's almost like that, yeah.
That's what it feels like,
because it was your idea, I'm doing it, look what's happening.
It's not as if he didn't agree on the tactics before they walked out.
I mean, he might not be saying that, but that
looks that way.
That's
You're right.
the body language I'm reading here as the forehand is just pulled cross-court and wide by Tsitsipas. 4 games all.
Well, I'm worried for Goran for the next game when Djokovic comes down here and presumably is serving to stay in the set. I'm slightly concerned for him.
I'm not too worried. Goran does tend to give as good as he gets. The umpire has just made a call to somebody. Maybe there's a trainer coming out. Here's a forehand whipped cross-court by Djokovic, who steps in and hits his backhand cross-court. He's coming to the net, and the netted backhand by Tsitsipas, and suddenly Djokovic swinging for the hills.
That's a stock standard play. That should be his tactic. You don't get that ball into the backhand side. That time he was brave enough to come forward. Not that he needed to hit the volley that time, but Novak wasn't in a great position to hit the next volley. He was pretty confident if he hits that one, that's not going to come back. And he's right.
Still a point for a 5-4 lead for Tsitsipas in the second set. Djokovic ahead by a set to love, but hitting his backhand long. And again, eyeballing his support team here. I'm not sure what they have done, but he is giving it to them relentlessly.
He is.
And it is 5-4 to Stefanos Tsitsipas. Goran's even sort of looking down now as if he doesn't want to make eye contact with him, the 2001 Wimbledon champion. But yeah, they are having something of a more interesting match even than the two players.
I'm not sure if I've seen Novak actually be that aggressive to his box. I mean, I haven't seen every match he's played, of course, forever, but he's really steamed up. But he sits down at the change of hands, he takes some deep breaths and calms down but it just continues to build that tension, and that's not what he wants. He wants to be serene, he wants to be thinking clearly, and it's hard for us to criticize the tactics of Novak Djokovic, but it would seem to me that he's just slightly got it wrong at the moment, and maybe it's Goran's fault.
Well, I tell you, Pat, the sensible members of that Djokovic box are just looking at their feet as if they've dropped something. So very shortly we'll see if the grief continues towards Goran Ivanisevic. But in the meantime, Kevin Howells, hopefully it's a little bit more serene at the cricket.
Well, sort of, but England actually have upped their tempo a bit, which is good news for them. 133 for 3 in the 24th over, and Harry Brook has just scored his maiden ODI 50 in just his second game. His 50 off 46 balls. He's currently 62 off 58. It's all changed since Butler went out to the middle. 23 off 19 for the captain. England 133 for 3 after 24 overs.
Kevin, thank you very much. You can keep across the cricket on the BBC Sport website. You can take the tennis with you just by opening up the BBC Sounds app. You'll find us there as Novak Djokovic steps up to serve to stay in the set at 4-5.
He won the first set 6-3, Djokovic. It's the best of 5 sets. He's 4-5 down here in the second. No breaks of serve in this second set. Tsitsipas has played far, far better in his first Australian Open final, 24 years of age.
Really with Goran luck in this game, David.
Yes, here we are with a forehand on the line by Tsitsipas, then a backhand with loop and topspin, and he moves to his right, hits another one. Djokovic just standing his ground and allowing that forehand to hit the net from Tsitsipas, and Djokovic appears to have calmed himself down here. Mind you, he just won the point, so that probably helps.
Well, he made that great quote, didn't he, in the press conference, where he said, it's not just the prospect of setting records that's driving me on the tennis courts, the opportunity to learn something about myself, fight my own demons in the midst of battle, things surface. It's the school of life. And he's battling a lot of demons right now.
Fault.
Really lost that ball toss. Way too far to the right.
We're right behind Novak Djokovic as he delivers this ball, about 10 metres behind him on the ground. So Pat Cash has a perfect view of where that ball is going up into the air as he strikes it and then hits his backhand down the centre and long. And once again, he's eyeballing Goran Ivanisevic. This is what we saw, Annabelle, when he played Tommy Paul the other night. Yeah. From 5-1 to 5-4, suddenly the timing went.
Yeah, it's all about the backhand, isn't it? And the backhand swing, and that was where it sort of started to falter horribly against Tommy Paul, and he didn't start to trust himself on it. And, the swing was all over the place. It was either lofted and long, or it was in the net and pulling off it. And that's a worrying sign for Djokovic, because that's the rock-solid side.
Serves into the body this time, hits his backhand, chip down the middle, does Djokovic, then a forehand off the back foot. That's miscued, and his legs are going all over the place, which is another telltale sign of irritation. He's 15-30 down. He's 2 points away, Djokovic, from losing this second set.
Well, that forehand from Tsitsipas, he really put a lot of spin on that, hit it hard, and it really jumped up and pushed Djokovic back, forced the miss hit. It was a low ball, so not often easy to get that heavy spin like that, to jump off a low ball like that.
Now then, Djokovic hits the serve down the centre and makes it. Backhand behind it that Tsitsipas reaches. From the backhand side, he lofts it. Now he chips one with backspin and floats it over the net. Then he hits his forehand, but this is going to sit up for Djokovic to take charge. But that's a conservative rally that Djokovic has got away with, because that is a shanked forehand into the crowd by Tsitsipas. I actually think he had a bit of a chance there, Pat.
He did. It was a very conservative point from Novak. And it's a risk going out there to the Tsitsipas forehand, because he can hit a clean winner and really damage you with that forehand. And he's got a couple of errors out of that in this game, surprisingly.
Yeah, it feels like a stubbornness, doesn't it, to keep going there. Now we're seeing Tsitsipas' dad just indicating loads to his son.
Missed backhand down the line by Novak Djokovic into the tram lines to set up set point for Stefanos Tsitsipas.
And he never misses that shot.
This is 5 Live at the Australian Open, the men's singles final. Novak Djokovic was freewheeling after winning the first set, but things have got a little bit unpleasant for him, and now he's pulling away because somebody shouted out at the wrong time, and Djokovic is really irritable right now. He is set point down in his 10th Australian Open final. He's won all of the other 9. But Stefanos Tsitsipas is causing him trouble right now. He has set point to level this match. He returns with a chip backhand, but it's long on the serve, and the crowd well, that's going to annoy Djokovic even more. They're applauding his missed serve, and that's it's a bit harsh, isn't it? He doesn't react, he just carries on composing himself. Set point, Tsitsipas of Greece to level. It's a slow second serve from Djokovic. He looks really tentative here. He's winding up into a forehand. It's onto the forehand of Tsitsipas. Another big forehand by Djokovic. They're not really going anywhere, though. He's not really timing the ball at the moment. He hits another forehand that Tsitsipas reaches. If he can keep the ball going here, he might get an error. He hits his backhand high up to Djokovic, who absolutely unloads on a forehand this time and saves set point emphatically.
That's something else. As you said, that were nervy-looking forehands. He was just looking for the error from Tsitsipas, and then just swipe a blistering winner. He's got the right height. It was just enough that he could get some hit down on the ball fractionally, get it really flat. And there was a big gap there. It took some guts, didn't it?
Sure did. Set point saved by the man who has won 21 Grand Slam singles titles, just one fewer than Rafael Nadal. Backhand lofted with topspin from the far end from Tsitsipas. On the run, he's wrong-footed Djokovic, but Djokovic adjusts, hits his backhand onto the back edge of the line. This is a deuce point. Tsitsipas trying to set up another set point, but he can't. He's gone long with the backhand, and Djokovic is roaring now. And it's a roar of anger and irritation as much as anything, but he has gained point to level up at 5 games all.
Oh, it's like a pressure cooker exploding at the moment, isn't it? You can just see how much tension there is inside him, emotionally.
Umpire Louise Azamar Engzal just trying to appeal for quiet from this crowd. They're so excited. Djokovic with a point to level his second set at 5 games all here on 5 Live. He's just hopping on one leg as he delivers that serve. There's no longer any strapping really around that left leg, just a little bit of tape. Serves this one onto the backhand of Tsitsipas, who miscues it. He finds the line though. Forehand off the back foot from Tsitsipas. He's not really finding the middle of his own strings at the moment. That was a better forehand though. That one's missed though. And Djokovic shaking his head in the direction of somebody up there. I think he might be giving some back to some crowd that are trying to unsettle him. Djokovic, we've seen that plenty of times before, but he's levelled up at 5 games all.
He is venting a lot at Goran. I think I was probably heading towards Goran in the box again, and he's walking across. But, you know, great hold there. You've got to give him credit. Set point down. Came up with a phenomenal forehand.
So, which way next? Tsitsipas has had a set point. How much is he going to regret not taking that? Well, frankly, Novak Djokovic didn't allow him to take it. He hit a clean winner. Forehand on the line by Tsitsipas, scooped back up into the air, but long by Djokovic. Good attacking play once more from Tsitsipas. It's that kind of play that might get him back into this match.
Yeah, great second serve though. Wow. I mean, right on the sideline. Had the whole court open and did just enough. Didn't take any risks with that one. Hit it hard. Novak got his racket on it, but couldn't control it.
Only Chris Evert has been in more Grand Slam singles finals than Novak Djokovic. She's been in 34. Djokovic on 33 now, the same number as Serena Williams. Forehand whipped cross court by Tsitsipas. And long goes Djokovic, and again his arms are out wide. He is pleading with his team to tell him what's going on.
Gosh, when you see him like this, I mean, he looks such a tormented soul out on a tennis court.
It must be exhausting.
Oh, it must
Sort
be.
of Andy,
it can't be good for his health.
Andy Murray-like, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just unusual.
Huge ace down the middle from Tsitsipas, who has kept his composure throughout this match. 40 love.
You wonder why he puts himself through it if it's this painful to be in this situation, and yet you look at the success he's had, and it clearly he obviously is a rebel with a cause when, you know, things are up against him and his back is up against the wall, but he's in a terrible state at the moment.
So, Stefanos Tsitsipas is shaking the racket once more, Gigi. The Greek flags are flying because he leads 6-5 in the second set.
Thunder down his 4th ace of the second set. So very shortly, Novak Djokovic will once again be serving to stay in the second set. And in the meantime, the cricket, you can keep an eye on that. The BBC Sport website will be back and forward with Kevin Howells. There's also the golf taking place. We had rain delays, which meant it was only going to be the 3rd day of the Dubai Desert Classic today. And there for us, Ian Carter.
And a change at the top of the leaderboard, Gigi, because Adrianas of Spain has just birdied the 8th to move to 13 under par. Rory McIlroy, who opened up with 4 birdies in his first 4 holes, has played par golf thereafter. Gone to the turn in 31. He's in second place at 12 under par. He's driven into trouble down the left side of the par 5-10.
Ian, thank you very much. And don't forget, from midday, Steve Crossman will be here. He's live in Wrexham today. Loads of guests ahead of the match against Sheffield United at 4:30. Before that, at 1:30, Brighton against Liverpool as part of 5 Live's FA Cup 4th round weekend. Time is being called. Tsitsipas having a nibble on something, have a drink, looking very, very relaxed. The opposite, David Law, to his opponent, Novak Djokovic.
Yes. Which way next, and what are we going to get next from Novak Djokovic in terms of his body language between the points? Because he must be expending so much energy and emotion in these rants in the direction of his support team. But he's still in there in this second set, and he's serving now to try to set up a tie-break.
Nova's having a bit of a word with the umpire about something. Just a comment, throwing a comment out there.
He's probably wondering why the clock's taken so long to start ticking down, because he was ready. But anyway,
service has just dropped the last couple of games. That ball toss we talked about, and Goran knows well about is veering to the right.
Djokovic yet to be broken in this match, although he has saved a set point in the previous service game. Forehand's gone long from Tsitsipas. He's making room for that shot, and it's something that Jim Curry was telling me, the twice former champion yesterday, that Tsitsipas has finally figured out that he needs to take his clay court returning position onto a hard court, and has gradually moved back as this tournament has unfolded and given himself more time to hit forehands, which is his more offensive and aggressive shot. But he missed that one. Chips his backhand and floats it onto the baseline, does Tsitsipas. Forehands down the line though, but so Djokovic, as he misses Tsitsipas, moves to 30 love.
Well, what Tsitsipas is doing is he's using the slice backhand really well, defensive return, and he's making all of them now. Beginning, certainly in the first set, they weren't really doing much. He was trying to block through the ball, but the slice backhand is just making it awkward for Novak. Sometimes it's short and Novak has to come forward. It's uncomfortable for him. It's just that extra element that he's got in his game. Makes it uncomfortable for the opponent, Tsitsipas.
Planting his white feet behind the baseline, moves to his left and hits her backhand on the rise this time. Lovely backhand struck down the line by Djokovic, and it's just so difficult to know which way he's going to go, and the last second he fades it down the line with the two hands and moves to 40 love.
Well, that was much calmer, that backhand, wasn't it? The way he sort of set up for it, he looked very, very balanced. He never looked like missing it, and he needs that shot to be firing if they go into this second set tiebreak.
So game point to force a tiebreak for Djokovic here on 5 Live. Trying to join Rafael Nadal on 22 Grand Slam singles titles. Roger Federer is retired now on 20. Double fault down the middle from Djokovic, 40-15.
What a weird double fault that was. Really went for a lot of pace on that ball, swung it, it was moving all the time, but it missed by quite a distance.
It's the first time he's actually gone for that. He has success with that normally, and it's the first time. It might almost be okay, it's a bit of a loosener. I'll try that one because I might need to use it in the tiebreaker. Just get that bad one out of my system.
Missed serve out wide from Djokovic, and the thing with this crowd, 15,000 of them all so dialed in. Any missed shot, any let chord, there are murmurs and oohs and ahs. There's tension in the air as the backhands hit down the middle from Tsitsipas. A point for Djokovic to level up and take this into a tiebreak in the second set. Brilliant forehand cross court now by Tsitsipas. That was a concussive blow, and even Djokovic couldn't get it back. So 40 love becomes 40-30.
Yeah. Like muscled those shots, Djokovic. Just wasn't hitting it calmly and cleanly. And then eventually just dropped one pretty short. Tsitsipas, great forehand across court, just accelerated, got a little bit more pace into it.
Still game point for Djokovic. Serves onto the backhand, blocked back by Tsitsipas. Now he's on the defence, hitting his single-handed backhand with a flourish. Forehand cross-court into the net, though. Excellent distribution of shots by Djokovic, one corner to the other. He wins the point, he wins the game. It's 6 games all. It's going to be a tie-break, but there's been a wicket in the cricket, Kevin Howes.
There has indeed. Harry Brook's going to entertain us for many years to come. Today he's made 80 off 75 balls and made an ODI 50 in just his second game. Just been caught in the deep off the bowling of A.D. Markham, but still great work from him. Joss Buttler is there going along nicely as well. England 155 for 4 after 27 overs.
Thanks, Kevin. First point of the second set tiebreak will be served by Stefanos Tsitsipas with a big one down the middle. He follows up with a backhand cross-court. Djokovic reaches it. His eyes may have cleared now. He hits his forehand down the centre. That's deep. Tsitsipas blasts long with the forehand. The forehand he's so reliant on to get him back in this match. And it is malfunctioning when he most needs it.
Well, he kind of got the shot that he wanted, really. It's beautiful, really stretching Djokovic wide, then getting the short ball. But he got it too far in front of him then. It sort of stopped. And what Djokovic is doing really well under pressure is just giving himself a little bit more space over the net, hitting a few more slightly slower balls. in tempting Tsitsipas. It's a bit of a risky play, but it worked that time. Tsitsipas is just as likely to hit a winner, but in a tiebreaker, will it happen?
Here's Djokovic with a forehand that he hits onto the backhand of Tsitsipas, who's 1 point to love down in this tiebreak now. He moves to his right and hits his forehand cross-court. Good deep hitting from the Greek, and his backhand's hit on the rise. He powers through another one, does Tsitsipas. That full flourish over his shoulder. What a lovely backhand on the line from him. Now he's underneath the lob, and he smashes away to get the mini break back and level this tiebreak at 1 point to all. And Tsitsipas's father is on his feet, punch in the air.
Brave play there from Tsitsipas, deciding to go down the line. And he hit it perfectly. He's missed quite a few of those tonight. And he's just started to make a couple in the second set, and there's no more valuable time to make it than second point of the tiebreaker.
Blue and white flags all around, fluttering to celebrate the final shot of that 16-stroke rally won by Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece, who's trying to become the first Greek ever to win a Grand Slam title. 1 point all in the second set tiebreak. Djokovic leading by a set to love, and now 2 points to 1 ahead on serve as he whips his forehand with topspin and dips it down inside the baseline to move to 2-1.
Really good footwork skills around the ball there from Novak Djokovic. Real intensity, good accuracy with the serve, and then just using that heavy forehand. Very difficult to read which direction he was going to go on that one.
He's tidied up the ball toss as well, last few serves.
1-2 down now is Tsitsipas. First to 7 points. Must lead by a clear margin of 2 in a tiebreak. Forehand cross-court by Djokovic. He's way out of court, but he's got away with it because that is the second forehand shank in the tiebreak from Tsitsipas. And you cannot do that in a match of these fine margins.
Again, just a change of pace. So just a little bit slower or shorter there. And it's so inviting. You see that shot and you go, oh, he should be able to hit a winner off that. And yeah, maybe, but again, in the tiebreaker, the pressure is such.
And when you're playing a guy like this, who is all over the court, sliding into every shot, he might be nearly 36 years of age, Djokovic, but he moves so well still, and Tsitsipas is suddenly playing some of his worst tennis of the set and missing his third forehand in 5 points to go 4-1 down.
Well, it's fluctuating, isn't it? It's extraordinary to witness, actually, because I felt like for most of this set, to be honest, I feel like he's been the better player. And that forehand has been doing a lot of damage and asking a lot of questions and bringing out the stress levels of Novak Djokovic. And all of a sudden in this tiebreak, it's just deserted him.
And the stress levels of Stefanos Tsitsipas are the ones that are rocketing right now. He will be so frustrated if he doesn't win this set, because as Annabelle said, he's had the chances, he had a set point. Djokovic saving it emphatically with a forehand winner. Serve out wide is missed by Djokovic. Very neat catch by the ball kid off the return. That wasn't required. He's at the net, just down on one knee, gathering. Second serve is deep on again from Djokovic, but he's netted a backhand, so one of the mini breaks has been retrieved here. For 2-4, the players will change ends, and neither one of them are playing particularly well in this tiebreak.
No, there's a good solid backhand from Tsitsipas, and when he does get that heavy topspin, and that's a real clay court sort of backhand, it jumps up, and Djokovic, thinking it was coming faster than it did, caught it way too far in front. It was obviously as if he didn't pick it up properly. It's a pretty makeable one. His feet weren't quite in the right spot. Maybe he didn't pick it up properly. And he's still got the little mini break, but one serve can change very quickly. One more serve to come from Djokovic as they change ends.
Djokovic's mother hiding her eyes as that backhand hit the net.
I think we all thought the same thing. You're kidding me.
4-2 ahead he is, though, in the tiebreak. Leading by a set to love. 3 more points would give him a 2-sets-to-love lead.
And the ball bouncing has extended, hasn't it, with Novak Djokovic before putting a serve into play, and you always know there's extra nerves going through him when he starts extending the ball bouncing.
He looks really stressed. There's a double fault from Djokovic into the net pack, and suddenly he looks a bundle of nerves.
He's dealt with it pretty calmly. Just turned around, but as you said, not a great tiebreaker from either player at the moment. That's just the tension of the moment.
6 of the 7 points in this tiebreak have gone against the serve. That is rare. Back on serve, 3-4, body serve by Tsitsipas. He wins the point, it's 4 points all as Djokovic nets. And Djokovic looks so similar to how he did against Tommy Paul the other night, when he had that flat period.
Weird. It feels as if, as the match has gone on and the more that he's got himself in the winning positions, that he's got tighter and tighter, Novak. And we often say you get rid of the nerves as the match goes on. I think his are increasing.
Here's a backhand hit on the rise by Djokovic. Somebody was singing mid-rally then. Here's a backhand down the middle from Tsitsipas. 4 points all. Forehand cross-court by Tsitsipas. Replied in kind. This is the noise being made by Djokovic. And the forehand long by Tsitsipas. It is yet another forehand error in this tiebreak. And he's letting Djokovic off the hook.
He's just actually dealing with the faster ones better in this the tiebreak. And as I said, Novak typically under pressure just puts a little bit more space over the net, goes a bit more conservatively, and it's just almost baiting Tsitsipas to go on, go for it, and he's just not quite there with the timing. Imagine you're getting sort of fast balls all the time, and then all of a sudden you're getting slow balls now. It's pretty tricky to deal with, especially when you're nervous. Yeah, she's just starting to lose the crowd at the moment. The umpire, she needs to be making the announcement before the players get up to the baseline to serve.
5-4 Djokovic. He has the mini break. He needs 2 more points for a 2-set lead. Clips the top of the net.
That was a terrible ball toss. So far right. It's very hard to get that ball out to the backhand side with that ball toss. It's hit 2 lets in this tiebreaker with that ball toss on that to that position.
He's just bouncing the ball so long now as he serves again onto the backhand side. It's blocked back well by Tsitsipas, who strikes his forehand cross court. These are better ground strokes. Then a backhand cross court from him again. They're trading diagonal ground strokes, left to right as we look at it. Here's a backhand long by Tsitsipas, and he's just made too many errors. And Djokovic is rather being let off the hook here. He's got 6-4, and he's got 2-set points.
Yeah, that wasn't convincing from Djokovic, was it? I thought a couple of balls landed really short in that last rally, but Tsitsipas just handing across the point.
As you know, this tiebreaker's gone. It's any win on the serve is valuable. So he's got 1 more on his serve, but I wouldn't guarantee Novak's going to hit a great serve here.
Set point he has. Serves onto the forehand. He's won the set. Tsitsipas blocks the forehand into the bottom of the net. It wasn't a good tiebreak really from either player, but Djokovic won't care right now. He's dealt with the stress to set up a 2-set lead, and he's now just 1 set away from a 10th Australian Open title and a 22nd Grand Slam singles title overall, Gigi.
What would be a 28th match win at the Australian Open, consecutive match win, and a 41st consecutive match win in Australia. Novak Djokovic is going to leave the court. They're going to take a brief break, as are we, because we had the breaking news for you earlier today about the sacking of Nadine Zahawi, so we're going to get more on that with the news now here on 5 Live with the time at 10:32 with Matthew Bone.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Gigi. Yeah, let's focus on that big political story. So Rishi Sunak has sacked Nadeem Zahawi as the Conservative Party chairman. In a statement, Mr Sunak said it's clear that there's been a serious breach of the ministerial code over tax declarations. Mr Zahawi had been under pressure to resign over his tax affairs after it emerged that he paid a penalty as part of a settlement with Revenue and Customs totalling about £5 million. He was Chancellor at the time. He'd always insisted he acted properly. Here's our political correspondent, David Wallace-Lockhart.
Nadeem Zahawi was being investigated by the Prime Minister's ethics advisor. That investigation appears to have concluded this morning, and Sir Laurie Magnus, who is the ethics advisor, has laid out his findings, and in quite a long letter he goes into detail about Nadeem Zahawi's tax affairs and what he knew and when, and essentially comes to a conclusion that there were multiple points where Nadeem Zahawi should have been declaring his interests where he wasn't doing so, including at points failing to update his declaration of interests to mention that he'd faced a penalty from HMRC as part of his settlement. And not being clear enough in some of the statements he made publicly, as well as what Laurie Magnus says. And all of this taken together, the Prime Minister's ethics advisor says constitutes a serious failure to meet the standards set out in the ministerial code. We've also been given from Downing Street the letter that the Prime Minister subsequently sent to Mr Zahawi after he'd seen this investigation, saying that it's clear there's been, in Rishi Sunak's words, a serious breach of the ministerial code. And as a result, I've informed you of my decision to remove you from your position in His Majesty's government. So pretty much it looks like as soon as this investigation has concluded, Rishi Sunak has taken the decision to sack Nadeem Zahawi from his post. But of course, we are hearing from many people that they believe Rishi Sunak should have acted sooner.
That's our political correspondent, David Wallace-Lockhart. While reacting to the news, the Housing Secretary, Michael Gove, said he was sorry to see Mr Zahawi sacked.
He's a friend of mine, so I can't take any joy in the fact that these events have played out today in the way that they have. But my understanding is that Nadeem cooperated completely fully with the investigation, hid nothing from Sir Laurie Magnus, and was very eager to make sure that Sir Laurie had all of the facts. And then,
well, he didn't really have a choice now, did he?
No, quite. And the conclusion...
There was never any question, in fact, recently about what had happened, but he tried for a long time, even accusing journalists of trying to smear him who were looking at this. He tried for a long time, it seems, not to come clean.
Well, again, I think Sir Laurie's letter is precise in the way in which it delineates what he feels Nadeem did wrong with respect to the ministerial code and how serious that is. I think the letter and the decision speaks for itself. But again, when it comes to the position that you mentioned last summer and Nadeem's decisions then, my understanding is that there was no information that was brought to the attention of the Prime Minister, either Rishi or indeed Liz Truss, which would have led them to believe at the time that it was inappropriate to have Nadeem on the team.
The Liberal Democrats have called for Nadeem Zahawi to stand down as an MP now. The SNP have said that the Prime Minister still has questions to answer over this whole affair. And Labour's Shadow Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson said he should have been sacked as party chairman much earlier.
This should have happened weeks ago. It was always going to end this way, and I think it speaks to Rishi Sunak's weakness that it's taken so very long for it to happen. And this isn't just about one individual. This is about right at the heart of government, a government that is just mired in sleaze. We've had Nadeem Zahawi, Suella Braverman, who herself also broke the ministerial code and then appointed as Home Secretary, Dominic Raab, Gavin Williamson. I think this speaks to a government that just is focused on the Conservative Party, not on the interests of the public.
Nadeem Zahawi's released a statement in response to his sacking. He said he took pride in his achievements in government and promised to support the Prime Minister from the backbenches in the coming years. He also criticised the media for some of the headlines surrounding the scandal. We'll have updates on the story as it develops throughout the programme.
This is 5 Live Sport with Gigi Salmon.
Thank you very much, Matthew. The time is 10:37. It's 9:37 local time. There is a drone light display taking place around Melbourne Park. The crowd are standing on their feet. Stefanos Tsitsipas' shadow swinging at the back of the court. We've had around 6 minutes since the last point and what was a scrappy tie-break. We're shuffling things round in the commentary box. We'll have Pat Cash, Annabel Croft and Russell Fuller. And Ross, I said at the start of the second set that Djokovic had this great record in Grand Slam finals of when he wins the first set, he's then won 13 Grand Slam finals, he's lost 3. Well, things don't get much better for Stefanos Tsitsipas, because in total Grand Slam matches, so in every Grand Slam match that Djokovic has played, after winning the first 2 sets in a Grand Slam match, he has lost once, and he has won 238 matches.
I could almost whisper that in Stefanos Tsitsipas' ear. He's so close to us, he probably doesn't want to hear that particular stat right now. Continuing with his shadow swings, Novak Djokovic being tracked by a camera crew, walks back onto the court. He took his weekend bag with him, it's over his left shoulder. One of the supervisory staff follows him to his chair, just keeping an eye and making sure that he was doing everything he should, and he didn't spend too long in the bathroom. It was a long break. In fact, it's nearly 7 minutes since the last point. 3 minutes for a bathroom break, 5 minutes if it's a change of attire, plus the time to get there and back, so he's probably just about within the limit. And it's 1 set all, and it's 2 sets to love to Djokovic, and we're about to start the 3rd set after that terrible tie-break, let's be honest. There's a lot at stake, but it was very poor quality, with so many errors and so many nerves. But Novak Djokovic won't care. 6-3, 7-6, 1 set away from a 10th Australian Open title. Stefanos Tsitsipas just needs to start playing a lot better. Otherwise he's got no chance. It's Djokovic serving first. Long delay before the second serve, and he starts the 3rd set with a double fault. And the only encouragement, I think, Annabelle, for Tsitsipas is just how stressed Djokovic looked in establishing that 2-set lead.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he's winning this match ugly. That famous title, the Brad Gilbert book, Winning Ugly. And he's certainly by no means playing his best tennis. It's very edgy. He's been very angry towards Goran Ivanisevic. He's not really anywhere close to his best tennis, but somehow he's managed to get himself into a 2-sets-to-love lead. But I feel like we might see him just keep going through this match quite sort of tight. And I still don't feel he's really released and sort of controlled the tempo of the match.
Forehand from Djokovic to the forehand of Tsitsipas. Cross-court and a winner from the Greek player, the 3rd seed. The 24-year-old, fine-looking shot, and he has love 30 on the Djokovic serve. Still playing very well, though, isn't he, Djokovic? I know he did go off the boil a bit towards the end of the second set, but his serve has been magnificent. Relatively few unforced errors. He's going to take some stopping with his 2-sets-to-love lead. Tsitsipas has come back from 2-sets-to-love down on 3 occasions before. Did it once here, famously, against Rafael Nadal in the quarter-final of 2021. And he's got a look in here on the Djokovic serve. Love 30. Djokovic has missed the first serve. His second serve is onto the backhand of Tsitsipas. Didn't get all of that, Tsitsipas, but this rally continues with Djokovic swinging freely and in charge of the point at the moment. Now a short ball for him, and that's 1 bounce into the net on the backhand from Tsitsipas, who didn't really ever get into that rally.
Well, he's indicating that he couldn't see the ball. It's strange, some of the backdrops here, and I've never quite worked out why the...
Having a word with our umpire,
yeah, sorry,
Louise Azamar Engzel.
In case we could...
Or maybe somebody who was trying to take a picture and the light from the camera.
It's bright, it's white, it's like almost like the ball.
It's bright and it's white. This is the unusual thing I've never quite understood in the modern era, why the backdrops are black and white. The logos are white, or the sponsors' logos are white. It's very hard to pick the ball up, especially if you're coming into the net. It's almost, yellow would be the worst colour, but it's second worst colour.
Well, he's lost that point, but he's hit a fantastic backhand return here, and he has a couple of break points, Tsitsipas. They're not going to turn off the advertising logo, so that's what he's asking. No chance. The Australian Open marches on its advertising budget. Could he get a first break of serve against Djokovic in the final? 15-40, first game of the third set. Djokovic at the far end serves and misses as he aims down the tee. Djokovic just taking a step back there in response to the shout from the crowd. First of two break points here for Tsitsipas. Forehand return down the line. Djokovic with the backhand onto the baseline.
Wow. Tsitsipas glares at that line. Says he pulled his head up.
Too good from Djokovic. First break point saved.
Well, you can hear the balls
Shot
being
clock
bounced.
At 3 or 4 seconds there, Annabelle, as finally Djokovic serves. His backhand cross-court is wide, and he has been broken for the first time in the final. Stefanos Tsitsipas walking in front of that commentary box, gently pumping his fist, marching smartly to pick up his towel, which is right in front of that Norman Brooks Challenge Cup trophy. There'll be a brief change of ends, but Annabelle, a little bit of a gift from Djokovic in the opening game of the third set. He has given Tsitsipas some encouragement at last.
Oh, he certainly has. I mean, started this set with a double fault. Couldn't have been worse, really, could it? And a few unforced errors, a lot of ball bouncing, as we know. So I believe that he's not comfortable, even though he's 2 sets to love up. And I felt like he won that, particularly that second set, more from the errors of Tsitsipas than when we're used to saying about Djokovic that he's dominating opponents. You know, the ball striking is just phenomenal. You know, outplaying and outmaneuvering. I don't feel like he's winning this match by that type of tennis. It's done more from, you know, unfortunate unforced errors out of the forehand side of Tsitsipas. So this has really given Tsitsipas a lift.
Yeah, there were 5 errors that you could call unforced errors from Tsitsipas in that tiebreak. He's serving now. It's a second serve. It's a backhand return from Djokovic. Tsitsipas swings it cross-court with the backhand. High return from the Greek player, and now a backhand cross-court. Djokovic down the line, fabulously done. Forehand from Djokovic. Tsitsipas with the backhand down the centre. Djokovic with plenty of time hits a couple of forehands. Drop shot from Tsitsipas. Oh, well, it's perfect, but only after it danced on the net and continued its journey. What a fantastic winner.
Well, you would have said that was such a stupid shot to play, but it literally hit the net, didn't it, and dribbled over. So it was almost a perfection drop shot. So that almost, because it probably gave a heart attack to Tsitsipas and his team. But it's a very good change-up of shots.
15 love, long with the forehand Djokovic. The drone light show was nicely timed for that long bathroom break at the end of the second set. 500 choreographed drones in the air above Melbourne Park. We saw the depiction of a tennis ball, and we also did see the outline of the Norman Brooks Challenge Cup. They did that a few nights ago, backed by popular demand. Backhand return by Djokovic. Backhand pick-up from Tsitsipas, who's now running onto a forehand. Extra pace on that forehand from Djokovic, who's now got a backhand which he hits into the corner. And Tsitsipas nets. Slice backhand dumped into the net.
Right shot from Tsitsipas then. He just hasn't quite got that slice back end the way that he wants it today in the rallies. He's doing it very well off the returns. But that's a shot that... you know, it's a very good shot, very tricky shot, and it's uncomfortable for Novak if he can make that regularly.
30-15, Tsitsipas having finally got the break of serve against Novak Djokovic in this Australian Open men's final on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Steve Crossman coming out with 5 Live Sport from Wrexham. at midday, or as soon as this match is finished. A down-the-line backhand winner from Djokovic, so now 30-all on the Tsitsipas serve. Wrexham against Sheffield United, also on BBC One at 4:30. Our first commentary is Brighton against Liverpool, with Brighton trying to beat Liverpool for the second time in just a few weeks. FA Cup fourth round continuing. Such a crucial stage of the match for Stefanos Tsitsipas. Got to hang on to this advantage in the third set. Backhand cross-court from Tsitsipas, backhand Djokovic cross-court. Tsitsipas down the line, amazingly reached by Djokovic. And Tsitsipas has missed his forehand. Virtually into the open court. But that was all because of Djokovic's extraordinary defence. He's only 10 metres in front of us, if that. It looked like the ball was past him, but once again, he recycled the ball, won the points, and if they were expletives from Tsitsipas, then I apologise on his behalf.
I can't believe he didn't get a warning for that, actually. Not only did he say one F word, that he said about 5 times.
Break-back point for Djokovic. Backhand return, it's a high one. The drive volley from Tsitsipas.
Channeled all the frustration from the missed forehand into that last high volley, and they're quite tricky, aren't they, in the night sky? He's got to be careful on this one, but made no mistake about that.
Tsitsipas missing his first serve at deuce. Second serve onto the backhand of Djokovic. Forehand Tsitsipas, forehand Djokovic. Tsitsipas with the forehand down the middle. Bit more depth on the backhand from Djokovic, and taking a bit of pace off the forehand, but controlling it expertly, Djokovic. Now he takes a couple of paces to his right to hit a forehand. Another forehand cross-court from Djokovic, right into the corner. Now the backhand cross-court, crunched away by Djokovic. Slice backhand Tsitsipas, and down the line, easy as you like from Djokovic. Trotting into mid-court, hitting another winner, immediate chance to break again, break back for a second time.
Well, he's swinging freely now, isn't he, Djokovic? This game going down the break, I think he realises that he needs to take command back in these rallies.
Yeah, that looked about as free as we've seen him hitting in the whole match, actually. Much better ball striking, just looked more clinical, much freer.
Break-back point, good return by Djokovic. The forehand down the line by Tsitsipas. Djokovic with a fabulous forehand cross-court, and Tsitsipas is wide.
Too good.
And there's a very happy serve supporter there. He's wearing a yellow top. He's carrying the serve flag in his hands, and he has a red, blue and white wig.
Sure it's a wig?
Possibly not.
It's like a clown's wig.
Artfully dyed, if he was doing that in the bathroom basin this morning. Imagine the mess in that bathroom.
Big perm as well had gone on. So
his other half gets back from a morning run and says, "What? What have you done to my bathroom?" One game all. A break apiece. And Djokovic is ready again to serve. It's a backhand reply from Tsitsipas. Djokovic down the line with the forehand. Inside the baseline to hit the off forehand of the single-handed backhand of Tsitsipas, who's doing a lot of running in this point. Forehand Djokovic, backhand Tsitsipas. Now forcing Djokovic back, but he's still able to go cross-court with the forehand. Tsitsipas gets another one back in play. Now the deep backhand long from Tsitsipas.
This is much more like the type of tennis that we're used to seeing from Djokovic, isn't it? Really starting to dictate the play, spreading the court, moving Tsitsipas around. I mean, it's just pinpoint accuracy. I think this is about the most comfortable I've seen Djokovic in the last few moments, actually.
Maybe something about being briefly behind on the scoreboard, admittedly only in this third set, having gone a break down. It did seem to loosen him up, didn't it, Annabelle?
Definitely. There's a different feel about the way he's looking, the body language, the way he's hitting the ball, everything.
1-1, 15 love. The forehand, the placement again is fantastic, and now the backhand cross court, and Djokovic once again has the ball on a string.
Well, at least the bellowing has stopped at Goran Ivanisevic. He must be feeling a little more comfortable up there. I thought at one point he was possibly thinking he might have to leave the stadium if he was going to keep on being a sponge for all that abuse.
Yeah, I've never seen Goran do that. One or two coaches have done, haven't they, over the years?
Yeah. Well, he can't have been feeling too comfortable up there. It's pretty public, isn't it?
Just long with the forehand return, Tsitsipas. So Djokovic moves to 40 love, having dropped his serve in the opening game of this third set.
I would love to know, after a situation like that, if he was to win this match, does he ever reference how he behaved towards him? I always wonder that. Same with Andy Murray.
The particular example I was thinking of, Daniel Medvedev and Gilles Savara.
Yeah, I remember that. That
he
was
has
here,
left
wasn't it?
the coach, hasn't he? I think on more than one occasion. And they normally kiss and make up afterwards. Backhand from Tsitsipas, forehand Djokovic. Tsitsipas with the forehand onto the baseline, and Djokovic misses the half volley backhand. And I think the reason that the coach did it on that occasion was that actually he felt it would help Medvedev, that he'd realised that he wasn't happy with the way he was treating him and he needed to sort it out himself. These were in the days where coaching was not legal.
It's a brave call, isn't it, to get out of the stadium and walk away, because you might actually cause your player to lose.
Job. Forehand down the line from Djokovic. He has 40-15 and he's missed the volley. It was dipping on him. He knifed that into the net. The man who hopes to be world number one again for what would be a 374th week by winning this Australian Open final.
Well, he constructed the point well here, and that was an awkward volley, wasn't it? Any volley that's below the height of the net is always a little bit tricky. He got down to it, just didn't give it enough loft over the net. Still got game point here, though.
.40-30 from 40 love. Backhand reply, a high one by Tsitsipas. The forehand from Djokovic. Tsitsipas into the net. Djokovic holds on to his serve. Leads by 2-1. And we should also say, Gigi, that were Stefanos Tsitsipas to come from 2 sets to love down to win this match, he would also be world number one, and he'd be just the 29th. It's a very select band of players who've been male number one since those rankings were first introduced in 1973, half a century ago.
I think it's a little harsh, that one, isn't it? Because Djokovic, having won Wimbledon without the points, you know, he wouldn't be able, Tsitsipas wouldn't be able to catch up with him if he'd won that, if he wins this. So, I don't know, you want to almost put a little asterisk next to that. If that was the case, that Tsitsipas gets through, wins this one and gets world number one ranking. So I think quite cruel because
I fear though, Pat, he might have to wait a little bit longer. You know, we've got all the stats, and Djokovic has just lost one Grand Slam match, being 2 sets love up. That was the clay of Roland Garros. Strange that things have happened in tennis. We shall see. He would go up a place to 3 though, Tsitsipas, even if he doesn't win the title. So you're with 5 Live Tennis at the Australian Open, the final match of the first Grand Slam of the year. We've got football build-up starting from midday. We've got cricket updates for you on the website and here on 5 Live, together with news of what's taking place at the Dubai Desert Classic with Ian Carter.
A becalmed Rory McIlroy in a share of the lead. He managed to make his par at the 10th after driving into trouble there, but it's just been a little bit ragged since those opening 4 birdies. 12 under par, sharing the lead with Spain's Adri Arnaus. Of course, we so desperately wanted McIlroy to be playing with Patrick Reed. It could happen tomorrow. His big rival from the United States just birdieing the 12th, so he's within a shot of the lead, and Richard Bland is about to go into a share of the lead. Has a very short birdie putt at the 10th, and the Englishman, currently at 11 under, is about to move to 12 under, and we'll have a 3-way tie for the lead.
Ian, thank you very much. And if you're heading out and about, it's just coming up to 11 o'clock in the morning. Don't forget, open up the BBC Sounds app, click on the button, and away we go to see if there can be a fight back from Stefanos Tsitsipas. But it's Novak Djokovic who leads by 2 sets to love. Tsitsipas serving at 1-2 in the third.
A break apiece. Commentary box end. Tsitsipas serving to Djokovic, and a good start as Djokovic puts a forehand into the net. Final day of the Australian Open. Thank you very much for your company over the last couple of weeks on 5 Sports Extra, on BBC Sounds with Tennis Breakfast, our 5 Live tennis shows in the evening, and the finals weekend on 5 Live. Forehand return from Djokovic, forehand cross-court into the net from Tsitsipas. And even though this is the final tennis for now on 5 Live, from Friday you'll be able to watch on the BBC iPlayer and BBC Sport website, and I believe the Red Button as well, Great Britain's Davis Cup qualifying tie to reach the finals again in Colombia. That will be from Bogota. Friday 8 o'clock, 2 singles, and then Saturday from 5 p.m, second day of the tie, a doubles and 2 more reverse singles. Backhand volley into the net from Tsitsipas. Really bad miss that, and he finds himself 15-30 down.
Yeah, it's a couple of times he's missed that particular volley where he set the point up, constructed it so beautifully, and we've just seen a shot of his dad up in the stands showing everybody how he should have done it, sort of shadow swinging the difference between the bad one and the good one. And what a shame. Dangerous moments for Tsitsipas.
1-2, 15-30. Great response. An ace. Dad will be pleased. Apostolos, who quit his job to travel with and coach his son when he was a teenager. And it's been a remarkable and enduring relationship. There have been 1 or 2 bumps in the road along the way, but an incredible duo on the tour.
And Stefanos could have had an Australian passport. They went to Tennis Australia to say, can you support us? No funding from the Greek Association.
Forehand from Tsitsipas, forehand with plenty of air from Djokovic, who's now hitting a flatter forehand to the Tsitsipas forehand. Cross-court goes Tsitsipas, cross-court again goes Tsitsipas, but Djokovic had stayed in that forehand corner. Backhand cross-court Djokovic, backhand Tsitsipas, backhand Djokovic to the forehand of Tsitsipas. Swept cross-court by Tsitsipas, fabulous defence again from Djokovic. Now Djokovic pushes a backhand back in play, and this time the winner from Tsitsipas. A forehand down the line, and he wants to hear those Greek voices inside the Rod Laver Arena tonight. So did Tennis Australia say no, or did the Tsitsipas family have second thoughts?
I believe they said no, which is a little bit unusual, but that came from Apostolos, so I'm not 100% sure the whole story behind it. But he was actually not junior champion at that stage.
Service winner, Tsitsipas. Very good hold in the end to 30, and he levels this third set at 2 games all.
And I think when you become a World Junior Championship champion, or Grand Slam Junior champion, you get sponsorship off the back of that. So they were struggling financially, and it is very, very expensive to keep a tennis player on tour, as we know, and you know, trying to add coaches and all that sort of stuff, which is required. So you have to sort of have enough money to be able to bring them on. And you know, he got the sponsorship from being the champion junior.
Also, very, very difficult time for his country, because all this started travelling with Stefanos when the Greek financial crisis hit.
Yeah.
And they were pretty desperate times for Greece. And I know that one of Stefanos's aunts helped the family out financially, but he has spoken about how difficult it was to start travelling as a teenager at that stage. Forehand from Djokovic, forehand Tsitsipas, just the wrong side of the sideline. He said he felt like a black sheep, and that people just almost accused him of being lazy because they'd read a little bit, but obviously not enough about the situation in Greece, and they were just sharing their frustration maybe. As other European countries were bailing out the Greek government, they were almost treating him slightly differently because they thought he was a symptom of the problem. That was the way he saw it in his mind anyway. 2 games all, third set. Djokovic has 15 love. So a missed first serve by Djokovic. When the crowd is quiet, these electronic line calls really do stand out. sometimes can be drowned out by the applause from the crowd at the end of a point. Backhand Tsitsipas, backhand Djokovic to the forehand of Tsitsipas. Cross-court he goes. Tsitsipas with another forehand cross-court. Djokovic down the line. Tsitsipas slices his backhand. It's very short. And that's the easiest forehand winner of the night for Novak Djokovic, who moves 30-love in front.
Well, just continuing to push Tsitsipas further and further back with every good strike of the ball. Almost needs to take a bit of a gamble, Tsitsipas, in these rallies, because he's not winning many of them at the moment, and come forward up to the baseline so he doesn't get pushed too far back. Try and hold his position somewhere near the baseline if he can. It's not easy to do, because we talked about how he needs extra bit of time to swing on that backhand. It's a big swing. If you stand closer to the baseline, of course, you've got that fraction less time to take that swing, but I've said this for a long time, he needs to add that to his game.
Good serving, Djokovic. Punched back, but into the net by Tsitsipas with the backhand.
He's done a good job at that, actually, just a blocking, slicing the return back. It's a rare mistake off a makeable serve of Djokovic.
And Djokovic to 40-love. Backhand return Tsitsipas. Drop shot from Djokovic. Wonderful. Absolutely inch perfect. And he holds to love. And that was a pretty emphatic service game, Annabelle. And he's 3 games away now from a 10th Australian Open title, a 22nd Grand Slam title. He still needs to get the break, but it feels increasingly close for the great Novak Djokovic now.
Yeah, it really does, Russell. I mean, that was a fabulous game, wasn't it? And we haven't seen too many drop shots from Novak Djokovic in this match, but that was absolutely perfect. And he missed a couple of them against Tommy Paul before eventually correcting them. But I think it is, as you said, it's almost as if from that moment he was down a break in this third set, everything has come together. He looks far more kind of in control of his emotions. I just feel his first time in the match looking much freer. Service, really starting to fire up, and he's got control and sort of in the driving seat, and he's pushing Tsitsipas into more and more defensive positions in the match. I'm having a quick look at the stats on the forehand placement of Novak Djokovic. 65% of them have been over 130 kilometres an hour, and a really good spread of balls into the corners, and that's when he's at his best, isn't it? Not allowing opponents to play their best tennis. So not too far away from the finish line now, but of course for him it will feel quite far, I'm sure.
Very final match of the Australian Open. There was only one other match on the schedule today, and that saw Barbora Krejcikova and Katerina Siniakova defend their women's doubles title, beating Shuko Oyama and Ina Shibahara 6-4, 6-3.
Haven't they been successful? Those girls, they're really something. Successful in doubles, and then Krejcikova became a French Open singles champion.
Yeah,
and the doubles in the same tournament.
Yeah, phenomenal pair, and 2 highly talented singles players as well, especially Krejcikova with her success, as Pat was saying, over the last couple of years. Drop shot from Tsitsipas. It's catching. It was a carbon copy of the shot Djokovic played to close out the last game. They've switched ends.
Drop shots don't come much better than that one, do they? Just the way the ball just clung to the racket face, lots of feel on it, enough height, and then dying when it hit the deck on the other side.
Fault.
Tournament director Craig Tiley is sitting on the edge of the photographers' row, watching this final. Absolute ringside view. Forehand cross-court Tsitsipas. Djokovic's forehand. Tsitsipas with the forehand, dropping a little bit short. Another drop shot. That's 3 and 3 points. And now a volley from Tsitsipas. Djokovic with the lob. Tsitsipas watches it land over the baseline. One of the most exciting exchanges of the final so far.
He did the great drop shot again. And what he did well is he followed it up, so he moved back into the court and hit a really good lunge volley off the Djokovic backhand across court.
Tsitsipas to 30 love. Djokovic leads by 2 sets to love. 6-3 in just 36 minutes the first set, and then on a tie-break in the second set. There's a double fault thrown in at an inconvenient time by Tsitsipas. Just invites Djokovic back into the game.
Yeah, that was a really aggressive second serve, wasn't it? The trajectory came out of the racket quite flat and through the air. There was no real kick on that ball. Really going for a big one.
It's another first serve that has missed. It's gone into the net. Tsitsipas back to the baseline. Second serve, backhand reply. Djokovic down the line, backhand winner from Tsitsipas. One of his signature shots, and that was wonderfully well executed.
Yeah, just a little more time. That's what he likes. Wasn't the cleanest of returns, but a very good second serve that jumped. Just got a slight miss hit from Djokovic. Gave him enough time to take the full swing.
40-15, backhand reply Djokovic, and that was nice and easy, wasn't it? What a sweet, sweet forehand down the line by Tsitsipas. Nice game. 3 games all.
Djokovic very slow going across to get his towel. The change of ends, he's been stretching that hamstring out a little bit. If I was him, I wouldn't be letting my opponent see that. You know, Tsitsipas must be thinking, you know, if you can get this set, he hasn't played, he's played 1 4-set match, but nursing that hamstring, you got to be thinking, if I can just extend him, he might just get sore in that leg.
Excellent serve by Djokovic. High forehand return over the baseline from Tsitsipas, and the ball lands about 30 centimetres in front of our commentary box window, and that was the best close-up we've had all week as the ball boy sprinted along the baseline and just put his hand behind the advertising hoardings to fish out the ball. It's followed by an ace from this commentary box end down the tee by Djokovic. He puffs out his cheeks. He moves to 30 love at 3-all in the third set. He's just 3 games away from joining Rafael Nadal on 22 Grand Slam singles titles.
Am I right in thinking, you might already have mentioned this, Russell, but I know he doesn't have the heavy strapping on, but he did have some of that Kinesi tape on, but I think that's completely gone as well, hasn't it?
No, it's still there.
Is it still there? You've got a better view than me because you're so close to the
Yes, it
action.
is still there. It's skin colour, and it's not obviously visible. It just peeps out from under his shorts on his left leg. But as Pat told us at the start of the match, according to Novak Djokovic's physio, that hamstring has never been better. Djokovic down the tee. The backhand is high and short by Tsitsipas, and Djokovic has to get on top of that, but makes no mistake whatsoever. Skillfully done once more, and swiftly to 40 love.
The ball really was swirling around, wasn't it? It did a funny sort of dog leg when it bounced, and Djokovic had to adjust to get on top of that ball, but made no mistake about it. He feels so good if he can clean up this service game to love.
He's bounced back very strongly after dropping his serve in the opening game. This is a much better return from Tsitsipas. He's having a free swing with a forehand cross-court. Djokovic has got a mid-court backhand, and that was just utterly dismissive. Very free and easy again in that game, Novak Djokovic, leading 4-3. And Stefanos Tsitsipas' margin for error is diminishing by the second, Gigi.
Certainly is, and Djokovic looking on course for his 22nd Grand Slam title, levelling with Nadal, a 10th Australian Open title. He's won 11 matches so far this year, yet to lose a match. He won the title in Adelaide. He's looking for his 28th consecutive match win at Melbourne Park and his 41st consecutive match win in Australia, and to this point he's dropped just the one set of tennis. And he's been through the ringer with his hamstring and everything that was taking place with his father, but he's found the form and the focus when he's needed it. You're the 5 Live tennis team for the final time from the Australian Open this year. As Russell said earlier, it's been lovely to have your company over on Tennis Breakfast. It's a busy day of live sport for you here on 5 Live. It is 12 minutes past 11 from 12 o'clock, and I think we're definitely going to be on course for that. Steve Crossman will be here. Well, not here because he's live in Wrexham ahead of Sheffield United's match at Wrexham. It's a 4:30 kickoff. He's going to be at a pub close to the ground. And we've got Brighton-Liverpool commentary from 1:30. We'll keep you across all the news that is taking place. And just a word on numbers. This isn't a stat to do with Djokovic, but the Australian Open, Tennis Australia have said that there are nearly 46,000 fans at the Australian Open within Melbourne Park for today's final. And when you think that only 15,000 of those fans are within the Rod Laver Arena, you've got more than twice that many around the grounds, and we've already talked about what an incredible atmosphere is. So let's see how they're going to react as we get to the business ages of the third set.
Wonderful point to start this game, and it's won athletically in the end as Tsitsipas puts a smash into the open court to take the first game, the first point on serve. He's 3-4 down. He trails by 2 sets to love, but it's 15 love. Those are staggering numbers, so twice as many people watching on the big screen or around the grounds as there are inside the Rod Laver Arena. Massive numbers watching the Australian Open these last 2 weeks, but I've certainly never seen anything like the numbers here for the second Sunday men's final day when there's only 2 matches on the schedule. Good forehand from Tsitsipas moves him to 30 love. So financially for Craig Tiley, the tournament director, who's still sitting by the side of the court with Wayne McEwen, the tournament referee, and watching Tsitsipas serve an ace, it's been a success. The tournament's lost quite a lot of money in the COVID years, so they need some cash to replenish the coffers. 40 love, 3 points for 4 all. Tsitsipas misses his first serve. Second serve from the 6'4" Greek, right into the body of Novak Djokovic, and he slaps the forehand away. Tsitsipas, his turn to hold to love, and at the moment serve very much in control in the midway point of this third set.
Yeah, great game there. A couple of very athletic points, and slapping that forehand away a couple of times. Just about the best forehand groups of forehands he's hit in the whole match. The players are both, they're not tired, but they're sort of just comfortably relaxed at the moment, able to swing through after the incredible tension of that second set.
4 games all. Now it starts to get interesting in this third set.
It's interesting. Djokovic's service percentage is just creeping down bit by bit through the whole match.
Second serve for him. Forehand return by Tsitsipas. The backhand from Tsitsipas to the backhand of Djokovic, which is hit down the line. The drop shot is invited, and the drop shot is played by Djokovic to comfortably win the first point on serve.
I always think the drop shot is such a risky shot to play, but he's so confident with his ability on that shot. It was perfect.
Djokovic still winning 81% of his first serve points and landing roughly 2 in every 3 first serves. So as Pat says, that was even higher earlier in the match. They're still fabulous stats. He misses the first serve there. His second serve is onto the forehand of Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas with the forehand down the line. Djokovic cross-court with the backhand. Backhand cross-court from Djokovic. Tsitsipas cross-court with the backhand. Backhand cross-court rally. Djokovic will hit to the forehand of Tsitsipas now. Another forehand for Tsitsipas. This one hits the tape and springs to the back of the court. Slice backhand Tsitsipas. Djokovic inside the baseline with a forehand winner.
Well, there's a lot more intensity coming into their baseline exchanges now, aren't there? 17 shots that last rally, but Djokovic, that last forehand, you could just see Tsitsipas unsure which direction he was going to go. I think he was shifting his body weight to the right and about to spring off that way, and Djokovic at the last minute sending it back behind him, outfoxing him. Mind games at play.
Djokovic has now won 11 points in a row on serve.
Fault.
Without always landing that first serve. Just gone 10:15 in the evening. Backhand return Tsitsipas. Djokovic cross court with the backhand. Slice backhand Tsitsipas. Very low slice backhand from Djokovic. And the forehand is netted by Tsitsipas.
Nice slice backhand, that one really skimming the net down the line. And it's a tough one really tough one to pick up, especially the modern players who have a quite, the grips are quite extreme, the racket's facing the ground, so to get underneath that one it's tricky.
3 game points. Once again, Djokovic misses his first serve, but he has 3 game points for another love hold. It would be his 3rd in a row. Backhand reply from Tsitsipas. Djokovic down the line and just catching the outside of the line to hold to love again and take him 1 game away from the Australian Open title. Again.
Once he starts hitting that backhand down the line, which what really hasn't been free-flowing at all throughout the match until this set. Once he got down the break, he started going for that shot. All his shots really, and much cleaner hitting from him. From that backhand down the line is so deadly, and you're a little nervous with that, and it doesn't sit, and you're sort of snapping at it. It's next to impossible to hit that. But they're coming rapid rates, those backhand down the line winners. Not a lot Tsitsipas can do. He's got to get the ball deep as possible. And Djokovic knows, and I think most of the players on the tour know, that if you can hang in there on that backhand side of Tsitsipas, you're going to get a short one at some stage.
So Annabelle, this is the moment. Stefanos Tsitsipas has been much more competitive in sets 2 and 3. And he's serving well at the moment. It's just, he knows he cannot afford to let his level drop for a second, or it's all over.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the pressure is massively on him now, isn't it, to try and hang on in there in this match. And any missed first serves and shorter second serve opportunities for Djokovic, you know he's going to pounce. And, you know, he just looks so much calmer now, Djokovic. I mean, he was in a terrible state in that second set, but he's shifted completely in his mentality. And the eyes are very, very focused at the change of ends, raring to go.
Stefanos Tsitsipas then is serving to stay in this Australian Open final. He trails Novak Djokovic by 2 sets to love and by 4 games to 5. His dream of winning the title, becoming the first Greek to win a Grand Slam title, becoming world #1 seems a little distant at the moment, but he's still in touch on the scoreboard, and he's won the first point on serve here, hustling Djokovic well, coming forward and seeing Djokovic hit a backhand over the baseline.
Oh, one of the best returns Djokovic has hit all match, actually. Just slapped that wide forehand right across court deep, and Tsitsipas just stuck his leg out and swiped it himself down the line. Fantastic forehand.
15 love. Slice backhand, Tsitsipas down the line. Djokovic's lob is long. Is there a ball he can't get to? Djokovic. Again, amazing elasticity.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't been moving like this for the tournament, has he? He's switched it on. It's fooled me, that's for sure.
30 love Tsitsipas. Forehand return Djokovic. Forehand Tsitsipas. Back to the Djokovic forehand. And Djokovic just puts more revs on that. And he beats Tsitsipas for pace.
Oh, that was a beautiful forehand, wasn't it? It was just the way he lined it up, uses his legs, and then so much heaviness on that ball with the rotation. and always travelling away from Tsitsipas. That looked like it had a bag of concrete attached to it.
I think Novak Djokovic enjoyed that. Backhand straight back at Tsitsipas, but a let is called by our Swedish umpire, Louise Azamar Engsel. Men's Australian Open final, live from the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne, here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Ahead of an afternoon of FA Cup 4th round football and our 2 commentary matches, Brighton against Liverpool and Wrexham, where Steve Crossman is based for 5 Live Sport, and Sheffield United. Forehand cross-court from Djokovic, the forehand from Tsitsipas. Djokovic with the forehand cross-court, now a backhand cross-court from Djokovic, a slice backhand hit by Tsitsipas, and that backhand is long by Tsitsipas, and it leaves him 2 points away from defeat. Djokovic poised, 30-all on the Tsitsipas serve, and leading his 3rd set by 5 games to 4.
Yeah, and he's shaking his racket, and he senses something, Djokovic, here. He is going to go after this next return of serve, see if he can get the match point. Total focus.
Tsitsipas served. It's a terrific serve. Djokovic has got it back, but it's a short put away for Tsitsipas. He had a lot of options there, and as he came forward, he hit the forehand into Djokovic's vacant backhand corner. And the drama, the crisis is averted, but possibly only momentarily.
Yeah, what a time to bring out such a great first serve, wasn't it? Got a cute angle on it, and Djokovic got a bit of a wry smile on his face after that one. Couldn't do enough with that return of serve.
And then an ace from Tsitsipas. So he stepped up on serve just when he needed to there from 30-all. And it's 5 games all in the 3rd set. And let's just remember that there was a time when they played in the French Open in the semi-final of 2020, when Novak Djokovic was actually 2 sets and a breakup, and Tsitsipas still took him to 5.
Well, interesting, that stat just popped up, the whole pressure point wins. So it's a 30-all or a big point. Tsitsipas is actually leading 22-20. You would never have thought it, would you?
No, I thought that.
Possibly a statistic offering a misleading picture. Again, Djokovic hoping for a little bit more quiet in the arena. Five games all.
Fold.
Really wild serve, that one.
Oh my goodness, that was nearly on the baseline, wasn't it?
This could still turn around very quickly. We've seen it so many times before. Just think back to last year's final. Djokovic hits the backhand. Backhand down the line, Djokovic. Lob from Tsitsipas. Djokovic sprinting in. Drive volley to the back of the court. Another lob from Tsitsipas. A smash from Djokovic. And this is just out of the Stefanos Tsitsipas reach. Remember, Daniil Medvedev, 2 sets up and cruising against Rafael Nadal. Last year in the final, Nadal came back to win in 5.
It wasn't a particularly confident smash, that one. Djokovic struggles with that. The smash, black sky up there. The roof is partially closed, but Tsitsipas was going the wrong way, otherwise he would have been quite comfortable forehand.
It's an ace from Djokovic down the tee. There's a particularly noisy and supportive Serb contingent very close to Novak Djokovic's players box, which does include his mum Diana, but not his dad Srđan, who's opted to stay away again today, and Goran Ivanisevic front and centre, who's been the focus of Djokovic's attention throughout this match as he gets a forehand return that is long by Tsitsipas.
So what is this, coming up to 4th game in a row to love?
It would be. He's won the last 16 points on serve.
Wow.
So it's looking a bit like a tie-break might be Tsitsipas's best shot here. 40 love Djokovic. And it is another hole to love for Djokovic, who's now won 17 service points in a row, and he's once again a game away from the title. 6-5 up, leading by 2 sets to love. Let's use the change of ends to get the latest on the third round of the Dubai Desert Classic from Ian Carter.
Hi Russell, yes, Rory McIlroy with a routine birdie at the par 5 13th to take the outright lead once again. 4 birdies in a row at the start of his round. That one at the 13th, the 5th of his round at 13 under par. The world number 1 leading by 1 here.
So quite a weekend. Everywhere you look. FA Cup 4th round weekend. You can also watch Spurs against the London City Lionesses on the BBC iPlayer. Our coverage starts at 10 to 12. And still, we wonder whether this will go down as a fairly routine Novak Djokovic win, Annabelle, or whether we have the drama that we've associated with many recent men's finals, in particular at the Australian Open.
Well, it's hard to know, isn't it? At the moment, you definitely put your money on Novak Djokovic because he's homing in on the victory. Came within 2 points on that last Tsitsipas service game. But, you know, anything's possible. I sort of feel like the nerves are going to start wrangling and jangling again once he gets close to the finish line. And we don't know if there's going to be another twist in the tail here.
And I've just realised I'm on the last couple of pages of my notepad that I take around the world to the Grand Slam. So fortunately, there's no more tennis to commentate on tomorrow. Cameron Norrie against Manuel Guinard of France in the first round of the French Open was the first set of commentary notes. And this shall be the last. And I will have a new book for Roland Garros 2023.
I'll buy it for you.
Fold.
You'd get millions for it, wouldn't you? If you flogged it on an auction site. Stefanos Tsitsipas serving to stay in the Australian Open final for a second time. He's missed his first serve at 5-6. His backhand cross-court. Djokovic hits the sideline with fabulous defence. Now cross-court again goes Djokovic. Tsitsipas staying calm, hits the backhand down the line. His forehand down the line, Tsitsipas. But Djokovic will not give up. Forehand, cross-court Djokovic. Tsitsipas cross-court with a forehand. Djokovic gets another forehand in play. Tsitsipas down the line with a forehand. And Djokovic has gone just long. And that is what Tsitsipas has to do to win a point right now.
Well, that was a very physically and mentally demanding point for both of them there. 15 shots that last rally. Intensity building by the second, isn't it? You can just feel it going up a couple of notches.
Service winner from Tsitsipas. He moves to 30 love. He was out of sorts in the first set, no question at all. Djokovic dominated 1-6-3, but we saw signs of the Tiger awakening in the second set, and Tsitsipas was very competitive. Had 15-30 on the Djokovic serve on, I think, 3 occasions, but then played a shocking tie-break, and that's why Djokovic leads by 2 sets to love. Wide with the forehand, here's Tsitsipas, but in this third set again, Tsitsipas broke first, Djokovic broke back, 2 breaks in the first couple of games, and even though Djokovic has been untouchable on serve in the last 4 games, Tsitsipas is hanging in there, and that is why there is still hope for the 24-year-old. 2 points away from a tie-break, serving at 5-6, 30-15 here on 5 Live. Make it 1 point away from a tie-break. That was Tsitsipas's 14th ace of the match.
Yeah, and hasn't that been coming up at the right time? The aces, the big serves. Yeah, both players have served very well on their own service games in this set.
3 game points for the tie-break. What a fantastic forehand return by Djokovic, but Tsitsipas has got a racket on it. And now he's gone long with a forehand, Tsitsipas.
What a return. It's the second one in a couple of games that he's just slapped across court from a wide serve. Previous one, Tsitsipas just slapped it back down the line. This time he got to it and just dribbled it over the net. Djokovic got up pretty quickly.
Yeah, almost like he's trying to intimidate him with that return of serve.
Another ace.
An ace. Down the tee. Nicely done. Tsitsipas holds. And it's tie-break time after a wicket from Bloemfontein. Kevin Howes is watching.
It's the wicket of Moeen Ali. Wicket demolished, actually, by Arik Nortje for 51 of 45 balls, 6 fours and a 6. England are 261 for 5 after 42 overs. Josh Butler going along nicely, 65 not out of 63. It's felt a bit scrappy at times, but the average first innings score at this ground, 289. England well on course for that, 262 for 5 after 42 overs.
Thanks, Kevin. Second consecutive tiebreak. Djokovic won the first. If he wins this one, he's the Australian Open champion for a 10th time. And he started well with a serve that Tsitsipas has blocked into the base of the net.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see whether Tsitsipas can really cut out those unforced errors on that forehand side in this tiebreak, because that was the shot that just completely deserted him, wasn't it, in that second set tiebreak.
He's also got to try and find a way of winning a service point against Djokovic, who's now won his last 18. So I think even more so, Annabelle, absolutely, he cannot afford a single error in this tiebreak.
Well, at one stage, it wasn't that long ago, a stat came up 24 unforced errors off the forehand compared to 5.
Forehand winner from Djokovic. Taking on the second serve and already moving in front in the tiebreak.
That wasn't a bad body serve in actual fact. I think it was a clever serve. Djokovic just getting out of the way just enough to swing it out hard. Tsitsipas falls to the left quite a lot when he serves. He leaves that side way open.
Love 2 down. Forehand return Djokovic. Forehand Tsitsipas. It was edgy and it was wide. And once again in the tiebreak, Tsitsipas is showing his frailty.
Well, he's been a little bit Boston bullied early on in the last few moments by Novak Djokovic. He can sense and smell the victory line. All that experience, it feels, coming into play at the moment. I don't think I've ever seen so many Serbian flags being waved in that garden square with the big screen.
They have done their man proud this evening, and actually throughout the last couple of weeks. Forehand from Djokovic. Tsitsipas is reaching for it, and he's hit a very unconvincing backhand high over the baseline. And Djokovic at the moment is strolling to a 10th Australian Open title.
Gee, how can you win 19 points in a row and you serve in a final?
Once more, Djokovic just waiting for complete calm. On a few occasions, he's just taken a couple of steps back from the baseline and waited for our umpire to call order. 4-love up, a tiebreak away from the title. Forehand return by Tsitsipas. Djokovic with a forehand down the line. Tsitsipas into the net with a backhand. 20 points in a row on serve.
It's just extraordinary.
And the way Tsitsipas is playing again now, Djokovic may not need another serve because he's 2 points away from victory. It's love 5, Stefanos Tsitsipas in the tiebreak. Tsitsipas misses the first serve by a long, long way. He's in an absolutely desperate situation now. Second serve, he plays on through the noise and the laughter. Forehand from Tsitsipas, forehand from Djokovic. Tsitsipas's backhand, Djokovic with the backhand cross-court. Tsitsipas hits the backhand to the backhand of Djokovic. Tsitsipas with the backhand. Djokovic will aim for that Tsitsipas backhand once more. Cross-court with a forehand goes Djokovic. His backhand is once again aimed on the Tsitsipas backhand. Some great slices, and the battle that was won by Tsitsipas. Djokovic is turning with his hands on his hips and glaring at whoever shouted out during that rally. Tsitsipas finally gets a point in the tiebreak, but still trails 5-1 at the change of ends.
Oh, looks like he's going to have a word with the umpire, maybe not. No, he's muttering away to himself, shaking his head a little bit, Novak Djokovic. He cannot afford a let-up of concentration, even though he's got such a lead in this match. You know, we've seen moments, you know, even though it was 5-1 in games as opposed to 5-1 in the tiebreak, you know, suddenly backhand went astray against Tommy Paul. This is a very different situation here. Trying to claim that 22nd Grand Slam title. Still wants to apply that pressure.
1-5. Tsitsipas with one serve to come. It's a really good one down the middle, and not even Novak Djokovic can get that backhand back in play.
Well, surely this run of service points won has got to break, doesn't it? That's what Tsitsipas will be hoping. But now is the time. The tiebreaker. He holds on to these two serves, and it's his title again.
2 sets to love up. 5-2 up in the third set, tiebreak on 5 Live. Novak Djokovic 2 points away from the crown. Backhand, a sliced one by Tsitsipas onto the baseline. Forehand Tsitsipas down the line. Djokovic cross-court with a forehand and onto the baseline, so the run continues, for now at least. Backhand Djokovic. Tsitsipas with a forehand cross-court. Djokovic forehand cross-court. Tsitsipas with another excellent forehand. Djokovic is having to work hard for this particular point on serve. He's trying to set up championship points. His backhand cross-court to the slice backhand of Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas with the backhand down the line. Djokovic is there and sweeps it cross-court. Djokovic has a forehand to the Tsitsipas backhand. It's a mid-court ball by Tsitsipas. Djokovic in at the net. Can he make the volley? No! Stretching, he puts the volley into the net, and Tsitsipas wins the longest rally of the match by my reckoning, to give himself just a glimmer of hope.
Oh, he is heaving after that point, Novak Djokovic. He doesn't even have the breath in his lungs to actually bellow at the support camp, but he needed an extra step for the volley. He kind of went for the lunge, didn't he, Pat?
Yeah, he just needed to get it over the net, didn't he? Because Tsitsipas was right in the backhand corner, but it was a good passing shot. Just needed to somehow dribble that ball over, and it was match point. But now only 1 point, 1 mini break away is Tsitsipas.
5-3, backhand return Tsitsipas. Djokovic with a mid-court ball. He's a little careful with that. Now his backhand cross-court, Djokovic. Slice backhand Tsitsipas. Backhand cross-court Djokovic. The backhand from Tsitsipas. Djokovic still aiming at that Greek backhand. And now Tsitsipas is running for a forehand. Djokovic inside the baseline. Forehand down the line.
He's still heaving after that point. You can just imagine the stress levels that Novak Djokovic is feeling right now. His heart must be absolutely palpitating, and he's asking for more from the Serbian fans. He's sucking in the air.
This is the moment he has been waiting for. 3 championship points to Novak Djokovic. And it's Djokovic who asks Tsitsipas just to wait. Championship point number 1. It's a wild first serve from Tsitsipas. The crowd unable to contain their enthusiasm. Championship point number 1. Backhand return Djokovic, it's wide.
That was a little nervy, I'm not surprised. Even Novak Djokovic is getting tense. With it right there in front of him. Tsitsipas been winning a lot of points when he gets that first serve in.
4-6. Championship point number 2. Djokovic, great serve down the middle from Tsitsipas. Now he's got the short ball, he makes no mistake. And at least he's making a fight of this now. He was love 5 down in the tie-break. Now trails by just 6 points to 5. But this third championship point for Novak Djokovic will come on his own serve. Goran Ivanisevic's coach is on his feet, applauding. Those wearing and carrying serve flags are doing lightways, and now Rod Laver Arena settles. All eyes on Novak Djokovic. Is he about to be a 10-time Australian Open champion? This is a 3rd championship point. Forehand return from Tsitsipas. Djokovic hits the forehand. Tsitsipas with the backhand down the centre. Djokovic's backhand. Now he's got a mid-court ball. He's hit the sideline with a forehand. Tsitsipas goes long. Djokovic turns to his box, puts his finger to his temple, his finger to his heart. He's an Australian Open champion for a 10th time. He joins Rafael Nadal on 22 Grand Slam titles. And after that rare defeat in Melbourne last year in the Court of Appeal on the eve of the championships, Novak Djokovic has returned to Melbourne to do what he does best, win the title. An extraordinary winning streak continues in Melbourne. 28 matches in a row. No one has any answers to this great champion. Level with Rafael Nadal. 12 months younger than Rafael Nadal. He proudly walks over to his player's box. He tosses his racket into that febrile group of Serb fans who've been giving him plenty of energy throughout the match. He punches the air, Novak Djokovic. And now it's an embrace for his team. And they're dragging him up into the player's box, over the flowers. And now the celebrations can really begin in earnest.
Well, just amazing scenes here. Novak's really starts his celebration now. He's roaring, he's punching his fist, he's hugging the team. They're all hugging mum. It's you know what, an extraordinary player. He had to play better from the semi-final. He had to sort out his body, had to push it to the absolute limit. And I think he's in the box there, shedding tears.
Lying down in the box. It's almost like he hasn't got the energy to get up.
He's sobbing now.
I've rarely seen Novak Djokovic cry like that, but the reasons are self-evident. After what happened to him last year, that incredibly painful experience for him, wherever you stand on that issue, being kicked out of the country, having your visa cancelled on the eve of the championships as defending champion. And the incentive could not have been greater for Djokovic to bounce back in the way he always does. And he has done so again. He's won 5 of the last 7 Grand Slams he's been eligible to play in. And he still seems so fit, and he still seems to have so much to offer this sport, and the motivation seems as high as ever. And you just have to wonder how many Grand Slams he's going to end his career with. Currently level with Rafael Nadal at the top of the men's list on 22. Steffi Graf also has 22. Serena Williams has 23, that's the Open era record. And Margaret Court, who won some of her titles before the Open era, top of the pile with 24.
Just can't stop crying. He's literally sobbing. It's just all that emotion, the stress and everything else. Now he's going to make his way back down.
These are really emotional scenes, Annabelle, that we're witnessing as Novak Djokovic is just helped from the bar. I think people in health and safety won't be too keen on this, but they're just helping him make his way back down onto the court.
I've never ever seen him this emotional. We thought we saw the most emotion from him when he was in tears, as we mentioned before, when he was trying to go for the Golden Slam and lost to Medvedev in the finals of the US Open, and the crowd suddenly kind of erupted in support of him, which I think he'd never felt. But this is almost like his whole body has gone weak with emotion, and it's almost like an absolute build-up of everything that he's been through, and none of us can imagine what that felt like last year. And this is all just pouring out and erupting out of him. It's extraordinary. He's now still at the change of ends. He's back down at his seat, but he is sobbing into his towel, and it's just incredible to witness this.
It's an unbelievable outpouring of emotion from Novak Djokovic, who Annabelle said has got his head in his towel. His shoulders are going up and down. He is crying into his towel. Now it'll take a few minutes to turn around and set the stage for the ceremony. The speeches will be very interesting to hear as Stefanos Tsitsipas just gathers his belongings together on his bench. So we will hear from both players very shortly, but we mentioned that from midday today, FA Cup 4th round coverage will continue, and Steve Crossman, you find yourself in a pub.
Yeah, well, if Novak needs a drink after that, and I think he might, I can recommend a great pub in Wrexham, because I'm at the Turf in Wrexham, which in some ways is like any other pub. I've got a faded blue pool table next to me and lots of baps ready for the lunch run. In every other way, it is an ode. It is a love letter to Wrexham FC, and today we're bringing you full commentary of Wrexham's game against Sheffield United in FA Cup round 4, the last non-league team left in the competition. We've got Brighton-Liverpool in full at 1:30 as well. We haven't been able to watch the Australian Open because we've got 1989 power ballads on the TV.
Amazing.
Here, Gigi.
Amazing.
But the most important year is 1992, when Wrexham beat Arsenal in the FA Cup, and we'll speak to one of their heroes from that day.
Tell you what, that's early for power ballads. It's not even midday, but I've got to say, Steve,
too early.
I think we could all have a drink after what we've just witnessed there. But thank you very much. We'll be listening in to Steve Crossman from midday. We're going to get the speeches before we head across to the football. They're just completing setting up the stage. Novak Djokovic, the 22-time Grand Slam singles champion. We've also been keeping across the golf and the cricket. And the cricket for us, Kevin Howells.
6 wickets down now, England. 279 for 6 in the 46th over. A lot relies now on Joss Butler. He's 66 not out off 66 balls, 5 fours and a couple of sixes. The only wicket I've not told you about so far, Chris Wokes swinging at a delivery, top edge through to the keeper. He's out for 14 off the bowling of Janssen. But England 279 for 6 after 45 overs.
Thank you, Kevin. You can keep across the cricket and the golf on the BBC Sport website. The numbers, though, Russell, as you've been saying, are incredible. It's a 93rd title, 22 Grand Slam titles, 10 here, never lost in a final here. He's 12-0 for the season, dropped just one set to win this title. He's now won 41 consecutive matches in Australia and 28 consecutive matches at the Australian Open, and he's lost just once since returning to the tour last September. That is a run of 30 wins and 1 defeat.
Chung Hyun, 4th round of 2018 at the Australian Open, the last man to beat him in this country. I think I said to you yesterday, Pat, who's going to be the next player to beat him? How about Yannick Sinner in the quarter-final of 2025?
2025?
You think that's optimistic for the rest of the field?
I just don't know. I mean, he fooled me. I just didn't think he was in the form. I thought Tsitsipas had a real chance in this match, and Stefanos, too many unforced errors, and when it mattered, the tension was there. There wasn't, he started okay, but the second set he played very well, Tsitsipas, and he was probably the better player for most of the set, I think, as Annabelle mentioned, and I agree with that. But the tiebreaker, wow, when it was when it really mattered, Stefanos just fell to pieces. And then once Novak got calm and relaxed, it was only Tsitsipas' serve was keeping him in it. He just could not do any damage to Novak. It was absolutely phenomenal when you think he came in here with a hamstring problem, and only to lose one set in the whole tournament is, sure, he didn't play a lot of great players along the way, but you've still got to beat these guys, and it's just extraordinary how the improvement in his movement and the improvement in his serve and his focus, even though there was some unbelievable bursts of anger towards his team I've never seen before. It'd be interesting to talk to him at some stage and say, what was going on, buddy? He might talk to me about it. We get on pretty well, and we're both fascinated in that area, how the mind works. So it would be fascinating to talk to him if I can get there to have a chat with him. I don't know. His demands will be way more interesting than chatting with me, but it is just extraordinary the way that this guy plays here particularly in Australia, and we've just lost superlatives, haven't we, to what to say. And he's not everybody's cup of tea. We know that, and maybe that drives him on. But he is an absolute hero. He's obviously at home. He's a massive superstar. But I also think, and that his stance on where he stood with all the COVID and the vaccines and everything has brought these people together to support him even more. And it's and especially what happened last year. And he was very determined.
Well, I think it's divisive, isn't it? It may have led some to support him.
Yes.
It certainly led many, many others to
go
perhaps
the other way.
lose a lot of love and support for him.
It solidified that support.
As we listen to Todd Woodbridge, who's our master of ceremonies here on the Rod Laver Arena.
Well, what a fortnight and what a final, and aren't we fortunate to be a part of history here tonight. Please show your appreciation to these two amazing athletes. But before we present the trophies, we need to congratulate those involved in staging this incredible event. It takes an enormous amount of work. So thank you to Tennis Australia and the support staff, all of the sponsors, our ball kids, who do an incredible job every single day of the event. Well done. They do work hard. But most importantly, the players for putting on the incredible show. And joining us tonight for the presentation is the Chair of Tennis Australia, Jane Herdlicker, the Tournament Director, Craig Tiley, Tournament Referee, Wayne McEwen, and our Chair Umpire, who did a magnificent job tonight, Louise Azamar Enzel of Sweden. And you can't do an event like this without your partners and sponsors. And also with us is Chief Operating Officer for Kia, Mr. Damien Meredith. Last but not least is a true icon of the game here in Australia, and he's here to present the Norman Brooks Challenge Cup to our champion. He's an 8-time Grand Slam singles winner. He won the Australian title 4 times, the first time in 1953 and his last in 1972. Please put your hands together for Ken Rosewall.
Who is also, incidentally, the oldest man in the Open era to win a Grand Slam. He was 37 years and 72 days old when he won Roland Garros in 1972. That's the target for Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal as well. Can they deprive him of that particular record, as we see some of the images we saw this time yesterday, if you were with us? For our women's final coverage, we're seeing a video of the tour that the trophies have been taking around Australia. And here comes the Norman Brooks Challenge Cup.
I'd like now to invite the Chair of Tennis Australia, Jane Herdlicker, up to say a few words.
What a spectacular finish to 3 amazing weeks of tennis here in Melbourne Park. Melbourne is definitely back, and the Australian Open has never been better. We finished tonight with over 839,000 attendees over the course of the last 2 weeks. Over 900,000 people had the opportunity to experience the Australian Open over the course of the 3 weeks, and 1.2 million people attended lead-in events, including the Australian Open and our qualifying week. So just spectacular engagement to one of the world's best sporting experiences, and none of it's possible without the 12,000 plus people who bring a smile every day to make sure we bring the very best of Australia to the world. So thank you to all of them. They've been absolutely tireless in their dedication and commitment. And we're very grateful for our sponsors, especially Kia. 22 years, and we've just committed to another 5. So, Damien, we're all very grateful for your support. It's been a great partnership that's done nothing but go from strength to strength. Thank you. And Novak and Stefanos, what a match tonight. Thank you very much. You both inspire players around the world to pick up a racket and work hard to get better every day, playing our great sport, and we thank you for that. But tonight there was only going to be one winner, and the King of Melbourne Park is back.
And they enjoyed that out in Garden Square, where there's a fabulously strong Serb contingent.
And back with a lot of support. And Novak, congratulations on 10 Australian Open titles and 22 Grand Slam finals. Congratulations.
More than any other man, Margaret Court did win 11 Australian Open titles, but as I explained, some of those were before the advent of the Open era in 1968.
Azamar Enzel, if you come forward, and congratulations once again on a job well done.
First woman to umpire the Australian Open men's singles final since 2007.
Damien Meredith, the Chief Operating Officer of Kia, up to say a few words.
Well, we've had a bit of history over the last few years with our friends from that particular company. So, David Law, I'm going to ask you instead your thoughts at watching Novak Djokovic so emotional as he clinched that 10th Australian Open title.
Yeah, the only thing we've ever seen close to that was when he collapsed in tears after losing to Daniil Medvedev in the US Open final, when he was on the brink of the goal of the Grand Slam, winning all four in the same year. And suddenly the crowd in his latter years, because assume these are his latter years, responded to him, and he appreciated the sport. This was different. This was a year of raging against what he regards as a slight last year, being thrown out of the country. It was embarrassing for him. For a few months he kept his head down. He didn't want to play tennis because he was embarrassed. And I think he's held this all inside him all along. It's obviously been a tense few days as well, with his father in the headlines. And, you know, he hasn't felt 100%. I think he's felt really stressed out on the court, but he still wins. And I think that outpouring tells you everything, really, about what he had to kind of hold together throughout the course of the fortnight. He's already standing there with a jacket with the number 22 on it, so there must have been some degree of confidence, because that's the 22nd Grand Slam singles title. And yeah, it's hard to see this ending anytime soon. He doesn't look like he's lost much as a player as he approaches his 36th birthday.
No, there does come a point, doesn't there, perhaps where old Father Time does start to catch up a little bit. But I agree, no sign of that whatsoever. Carlos Alcaraz, the outgoing world number one. Novak Djokovic will take over at the top of the rankings, may have something to say about that. Rafael Nadal will be delighted that the next Grand Slam is on the clay of Roland Garros, so a huge amount to look forward to. But I agree with you completely. I think this is the man who could beat that Ken Rosewell, oldest winner of a Grand Slam by a man in the Open era record. 5 Live Sport is just a few minutes away. Steve Crossman in Wrexham. They play Sheffield United at 4:30. Our first FA Cup fourth round commentary of this particular afternoon is Brighton against Liverpool at 1:30. We're about to hear from Stefanos Tsitsipas, the runner-up in the Australian Open, his second Grand Slam final, and he's about to get his second runners-up trophy. And on both occasions, Novak Djokovic has been too good for him. A handshake from Ken Rosewell. He is going to be very, very disappointed, because as Pat Cash was explaining there, he just wasn't able to play his best in this final, and especially in those all-important 2 tie-breaks. Forces a smile as he lifts the runners-up silver platter.
Hi guys, Novak, I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, I think it speaks for itself. What you have achieved so far. It's all in the numbers. Congratulations. Not only to yourself, but to having like such a supportive family. You know, I think it's very similar the way we grew up around tennis. So it's been an unbelievable journey for you. So I admire what you have done for our sport. I think you make me a better player when I'm out on court. So thank you. I've had the privilege to play a lot of difficult, high-intensity matches. But I'd like to say one more time, Novak brings the best out of me, and these are the matches, you know, I've been working my entire life for. He's one of the greatest in our sport, and I think he's the greatest that has ever held a tennis racket. I'd like to, I haven't done this, but I'd like to thank you for pushing our sport so far. I think it deserves, you know, a player like you that pushes everyone, every single player, every single individual that's involved in the sport to the max. It's not easy, another final at a Grand Slam, but I'm always, I'm always willing to go back on court and work harder. I would like to thank my team for being on this journey with me together. We've been building a lot. I'm happy that I have a group of supportive people around me, people that wake up every single day and share the same goals and ambitions with me. I'm extremely privileged that I get to do this for a living. I'd like to thank also the Greek fans because they always make me feel at home here. Last but not least, coming back to Australia brings back very good memories to all the ball kids, to all the photographers, to all the staff and people involved with Tennis Australia and the Australian Open. I'd like to personally thank you for putting so much to this every single day. You know, your job is not easy. We respect that a lot as players. We might not show it as much when we're competing, but it's very much appreciated. And also, of course, the sponsors, you know, they play an important role to our game. Without them, we wouldn't have the opportunity to be doing what we do. Kia, you know, Emirates, Chubb, MasterCard, all the sponsors. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next year. Thank you.
The disappointment etched all over his face, but
there is no doubt,
a gracious speech from Stefanos Tsitsipas.
That you are well loved here, and we look forward to seeing you back. But in the world of sport, 10 is considered to be the magic number. Once thought to be unobtainable, we now know that that isn't the case. And with his victory tonight, this incredible athlete has that perfect score. It's his 10th title at Melbourne Park, and tonight, with his win, he also regains the position of the #1 player in the world. The Australian Open Men's Singles Champion for 2023, Novak Djokovic.
The champion steps up onto the blue stage on the Rod Laver Arena, where he's now won 10 Australian Open titles. Shakes hands with Ken Rosewall. He is ushered towards the Norman Brooks Challenge Cup. He knows exactly how it feels. He knows exactly how heavy it is. And for the 10th time, after last year's brief hiatus, Novak Djokovic proves unstoppable in Melbourne. Australian Open champion, yet again.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I have to say that I'm touched by Stefanos' words. Thank you so much for being so kind and respectful. I appreciate that. I think we both would agree that, of course, on the court we are fierce competitors and we want to win against each other, no matter who is across the net. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't respect each other, and we acknowledge each other's efforts. So I acknowledge your effort and I congratulate you on an amazing tournament. Tough luck tonight. Great battle. I think that this is definitely not your last Grand Slam. You still have lots of time, much more than me. I'd like to congratulate also to your team, to your family. I know how much time you guys spend into trying to make you a better player and better person on and off the court. You are one of the most professional tennis players that I know on the tour, and one of the most interesting guys. I said that 2 days ago. I still think you are very interesting. And I would just like to finish off by commenting something about Greece and Serbia. And you know, we are relatively two small countries that don't really have a tennis tradition. You know, we didn't have too many players to look up to, players that have reached these heights in a professional tennis. So I think that the message really for any young tennis player around the world who is watching this now and dreaming to be here where Stefanos and I am, dream big, dare to dream, because everything is possible. Don't let anybody take away the dream. Doesn't matter where you're coming from. I actually think that the more disadvantaged childhood you have, the more difficulties and more challenges you have, the stronger you become. So Stefanos and I are the proof of that. And don't really let anybody take away that dream from you. Nurture it, water it like you water the flowers. Even if you find only one person in this world that will accept, embrace and support your dreams, find that person and dream big, because you can make it. What a journey it has been for my family, my team and myself. I don't know where to start and where to finish. I don't take anything for granted. I know you guys are tolerating sometimes the worst sides of my character on and off the court, and I appreciate the patience and the love and support that you guys are giving me. Why you're laughing, Goran? I don't know if you will ever forgive me all these years, what I've done to you guys, but I have to repeat it over and over again. This trophy is yours as much as it's mine. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for your love and support. And I will... Hvala puno, hvala. Thank you. I have to say that this has been one of the most challenging tournaments I've ever played in my life, considering the circumstances. Not playing last year, coming back this year, and I want to thank all the people that made me feel welcome, made me feel comfortable to be in Melbourne, to be in Australia. There's a reason why I've played my best tennis throughout my career in Australia and on this court in front of legendary Rod Laver. Thank you so much for being present tonight, sir. I try to pinch myself and really live through these moments, and it's a long journey. I know this is also a long talk from my side, but bear with me, guys. I just have to say this because only the team and the family knows what we've been through in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and this probably is the I would say, biggest victory in my life, considering the circumstances. I'd like to thank the organization of the tournament, of course, the volunteers, everyone who is part of such an incredible event. Really phenomenal organization, day in, day out. Craig has been very helpful to my team and I over the years, and I thank you for always doing your best to make us feel at home and feel comfortable. I know that there's been a record-breaking crowds this year, and I know there's a lot of people on the square and around the world watching. Thank you so much for making this event one of the best events in the world. Thank you so much, and hopefully see you next year. Thank you.
23 Australian Open men's singles champion Novak Djokovic, and that brings to an end the Australian Open for this year. Thank you to everyone who listened to Tennis Breakfast through the course of the 2 weeks, and today thank you very much to Annabelle Croft, Pat Cash, Russell Fuller, David Law, Matthew, our engineer, Kat, our producer, and everyone else who's been involved. But now, with the time just coming up to 12:15, a little bit later than planned, 5 Live Sport and Steve Crossman, they will follow the news here on 5 Live with Matthew Bone.